as one of global motorsport's most legendary venues, MotoGP has landed in Le Mans for round 6 in 2025. The Michelin Grand Prix is the biggest sporting spectacle in the world this weekend, with a capacity crowd crammed into the Bugatti circuit to see Fabio Quartararo can become France's first MotoGP win on home ground in over 70 years. It's time to race in MotoGP. So we first raced here all the way back in 1969. What a classic Grand Prix venue it is. The Bugatti circuit in Le Mans, 5 kilometers south of the historic centre of nearby Le Mans, 200 kilometers southwest of Paris, 14 turns, just under 4.2 kilometers in length. Plenty of challenges in what's a compact layout, particularly hard braking into turn 3, into turn 8 in particular. Good overtaking opportunity as well though into that garage fair section. Sector 4 includes the Recordemont, last 2 corners.
Halo, welcome to the stream. Oui, oui.
Gives the Michelin rubber a pretty strong workout, but are we going to be using slicks or rain tyres? That's the big question as we continue our countdown. This was 12 months ago.
Sam.
Martin into turn 3 on his way to the Le Mans treble. So under glorious clear blue skies here in Le Mans yesterday and roared on by nearly 100,000 fans from a sensational pole position was home crowd hero Fabio Quartararo. He made the early running in that 13-lap sprint as early disaster came the way of Pecco Bagnaia, the factory Ducati rider, crashing out of podium contention on the second lap. Quartararo
Sambil-sambil tengok MotoGP,
so hard against firstly
kita memancing.
and then Alex Marquez and eventually another Ducati star in Fermin Aldeguer as Quartararo thrilled a home crowd to just miss out on the podium. This was a pretty heated exchange he had late on with Aldeguer and the rookie powering his Ducati
fish on.
to his first podium in the Premier
Fish on.
Marquez crossed the line first. It is 6 sprints out of 6 so far for the
Tengok MotoGP, tengah tengok.
with Alex Marquez second
Dengar bunyi background tu.
in the Tissot sprint.
Buka kat skrin sebelah.
Is back in control of the MotoGP.
Race MotoGP lagi pukul 8.
2 points separate the brothers.
Kita tengah
Going into this Michelin Grand Prix of France.
sambil-sambil tu kan. Sambil-sambil nyambil-nyambil.
As you can see, after
Kita mancing.
a damp start to proceedings this morning, where the MotoGP 10-minute warm session took place on a wet surface, Moto3 and Moto2 have taken place in dry conditions on full dry tracks on slick tyres. The big question though, and it's a huge question, what will be the weather, what will be the conditions for our upcoming 27-lap MotoGP battle here in front of packed grandstands.
Cikgu, ya. M sabu, mak sabu.
We certainly have got a record crowd on our hands this weekend. But as we said, quite appropriate they're in the skies because it's all eyes on the skies right
Mana
now,
datang M sabu keli pula?
as there is rain forecast to hit
Mana kau datang pula M sabu keli?
France at around lights out time 2 p.m. We did have rain spots falling right at the tail end of the Moto2 race. In fact, it was so late in Moto2, it was when the lead pack were taking the checkered flag. Have to say though, it has abated over the last few minutes or so. So as it stands right now, we would be having a full dry Michelin Grand Prix of France. But this, of course, is Le Mans, which means, as far as the elements are concerned, anything can happen. Matt Burt and Lewis Sotheby joining you in the commentary box.
Louis Sotheby,
Appleyard, down
Jack Appleyard.
pit lane. And I guess, Lewis, we're all just looking skywards. Actually, we're just getting some breaking news here as we look at these amazing shots of the crowd here in Le Mans.
Iya.
We had a crowd of 278,000.
Iya, jangan albacore lagi lah. Hai.
Record crowd, a weekend crowd.
Boleh keluar albacore ni.
It was bettered. 297,471 fans joined us for the 2024 version of the French Grand Prix. We said all weekend, would we ever, or would we get
Iya.
a crowd of over 300,000 fans? Well, merci beaucoup, France.
Kita kill tu ikan ni.
We have done it. We have just had confirmation that our weekend crowd here in Le Mans has topped 300,000 and sub. What a stat this is. We have had 311,790.
Iya. Iya.
Merci beaucoup, France.
Iya.
Always feels a pleasure and privilege, doesn't it, Lewis, to be part of this French Grand Prix.
Iya.
Already here, it felt like we could get
Oh,
a record.
oh, jangan, jangan.
Once again, Le Mans has not let us down.
Mari, 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 mari.
Biggest Grand Prix weekend attendance MotoGP has seen the French Grand Prix one of the destination events on the Grand Prix calendar for exactly that reason. We are 40 minutes away from the MotoGP race. We are around about half an hour away from the spine-tingling rendition of La Marseillaise, where there will be over 100,000 French fans singing along, with one of their own, Fabio Quartararo, sitting on pole position. Does it get any better than that if you're a French fan of MotoGP?
Yeah, what a place. Steeped in history, of course, this Le Mans circuit. There's been
Dia tarik balik. Dia tarik balik.
motorsport in this part of the world for well over 100 years. As we mentioned, it's a motorsport mad part of France, a motorsport mad part of the world.
Jangan pergi jauh-jauh bang.
Thank you so much to all concerned, organisers, promoters, local authorities connected to this Le Mans Grand Prix, because once again, he has delivered something extra special.
Iya.
Let's hope we get something extra special over the course of 27 laps in what, about 40
Iya.
minutes local time in Le Mans. As you mentioned, it could be a wet start to this Grand Prix. It could be a flag-to-flag race, which sort of throws open the door potentially for a just thinking actually, Johan Zarco is the perfect rider to follow into the back of the LCR Honda garage. He has humongous support here this weekend.
Humongous support.
Number 5 flags, merchandise, filling the grandstand. Listen to the reception that Zarco is going to get as he comes out onto the main grandstand. He said yesterday, rain, no problem. Gives me probably my best
Mari.
finishing on the podium here today. You think of Jack Miller, you think
Jangan lama-lama lah.
Mir was quickest in the wet one this morning for the factory Honda squad. The rain, though, without question, Lewis, does bring forward a few more.
Mancing tak ajak cikgu.
glory here today.
Ha.
I guess you're quite conflicted if you're a
Macam biasa, pot biasa Sintaro.
today, because Johan Zarco will surely see
Pot biasa.
there as an opportunity. Fabio Quartararo, I'm quite sure, is of the opposite opinion. He spoke on the rider parade following the MotoGP 1 this morning as him in the wet.
Mari, 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 mari. Oi, naik lah. Oi, Melin.
We are less than 40 minutes away from lights out.
Cak.
Vinales, 5th place he was.
Strap Melin biasa 74 kilo.
Of course, he's got huge home support from the French fans here as well.
Tahu dah, tak pernah pindah.
A KTM Tech 3 team and
Kau tengok depan tu berbulu maka. Berbulu mat maka.
riders once again a pleasure to welcome back into the commentary box Bradley Smith. Bradley, you've just walked to the commentary box, having enjoyed a bit of the pre-race atmosphere. I mean, this is a nightmare situation, isn't it? All the teams, all the riders are just looking skyward to see what the weather's going to do. I mean, you've been in this
Nak grind bagi dapat 80
half an hour away before
lebih lah. Sekarang ni aku punya level 70 lebih.
for the race. I mean,
Depan pulau tu ke? Banyak rumput. Jap.
scenario
Kalau nak tunjuk
and teams alike.
Sabar jap.
Certainly not fun. At the moment, it's kind of a little bit spit spotting. It's just water in the air, so it's psychological rain, as they call it. You know, it's just enough to put you off, and then not be entirely sure what you want to do. It's
Sabar jap, saya tunjuk. Oi, oi.
have like the dry bike,
Salah, salah, salah.
bike prepared, and then
Salah.
you're going to go either way. It's also
Naik.
the excitement, but also part of the headache of
Bang, macam mana nak dapatkan balik akaun lama? Dah lama tak on, tiba-tiba hilang. Biar betul.
the right choice on tyres here.
Which I seem to recall you did once memorably back in Misano a few years ago. Yeah, you still don't bother yet.
When to change?
Dah lama tak on. Akaun lama, akaun apa tu?
Then you
Syah.
make a mistake, and it paid off well. So some good memories.
And we saw Marco Bezzecchi there have his off-track excursion early on in that sprint yesterday. That completely
Game ni? Oh, tak tahu lah. Cuba pergi masuk Discord dia orang.
points. And once again he was back in the
Cuba tengok dekat Discord dia orang.
two yesterday. Alex Marquez.
Oh, Epis tu baru beli tu. Nampak baru beli ni.
Sprint. He lost the world championship lead in a pretty heavy old crash this morning as well, right at the back end of this morning's warm-up
Cuba masuk Discord balik, Discord dia orang balik, atau tanya kat dalam Discord dia orang.
through turn 2. What's that like, Bradley, when you have a crash right at the back end of a morning warm
Dah try semua benda, susah dapat balik. Sebab
for the race? It's
tak, cuba pergi dekat Discord dia orang. Dia ada Discord dia orang tau, Discord Vision Planet ni. Memang dia orang punya developer punya. Cuba tanya isu kat dalam tu. Abang mancing apa bang? Kita mancing kerang. Oh, yellowfin. Naik kau 55 kilo punya yellowfin je. Anjir. Itu je. Saya suka kerang bang. Tahu tak apa, aku pun. Depend lah kan. Kadang-kadang dapat yang hamis kan. Tak biasa tak?
MotoGP World Championship, Marc Marquez after his sixth consecutive sprint success yesterday. He's getting a little bit fed up though, isn't he, of the moniker Mr. Saturdays. He wants to be known as Mr. Sundays, Lewis. I mean, if we do get
Alhamdulillah.
27, that's well, without question, the 90s
Okay.
favourite.
Yeah, and he'll have the memories of what happened to him in Gerak certainly in the forefront of his mind to try and ensure he doesn't make the same mistake. Regained the World Championship lead yesterday with his victory in the sprint. You have to credit Fabio Quartararo for making Marc Marquez work as hard as he did. Certainly pushed hard in the early stages to try and build up an early advantage, and Marc Marquez let the sprint come to him in the end. On a Saturday afternoon, he remains undefeated. On Sunday afternoon,
Nyambil-nyambil tengok MotoGP ni.
prone to the
Sekejap lagi race MotoGP start pukul 8.
Here's the flag-to-flag master himself, is Marc Marquez. He just seems to have every angle covered. Guess if you're not Marc Marquez, you want as much uncertainty as possible.
Quartararo made him work hard for it in the early part of yesterday's spin, but once he got to the front and got his head down, Bradley, you kind of felt it was all pretty academic from that point on, was he? It's not easy, but Mark made it look easy yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Akhirnya ni lumba tak MotoGP bang? Kau. Akhirnya ni lumba MotoGP Aduh, jatuh pula dia tadi. Tapi tak apa, finish P2 kan. Okay, cuaca dah berubah.
Well, he certainly looks great. He looks cool, doesn't he, in that special home race livery as well that Fabio Quartararo unveiled
Okay.
last night in front of packed grandstands in Le Mans. Always a special atmosphere on Saturday evenings. As we've just told you, of course, we have confirmation about
Tapi tengok yang race tadi boleh pula kan. Apa, pasir tu bersepar dekat atas track boleh pula terus kan. Semalam nak kena stop kan. Tu yang macam Wait. Dia datang makan. Ada binatang makan. Sokong taruh lah malam ni. Malam ni saya sokong malam ni saya sokong si Fermin. Saya nak tengok dia naik podium. Fermin Rodriguez, saya nak tengok dia naik podium. Assalamualaikum. Apa nama game? Fishing Planet. Kak spek jap. Oh, silau lagi. Pakai balik spek. Sap. Oi. Loceng berbunyi pula. Ya, ui. Ui. Keras. Keras awak kali ni. Le Mans 35 or
Well, he swapped the famous El Diablo logo on the back of those leathers for Le Mans 25, and Le Mans 2025 will live long in the memory with our record weekend crowd in attendance.
hobi mancing confirm bini tak marah, tahu tak apa. Marah juga ni kan. Bini kat luar tengah bersilat. Abang, tak payahlah naik bot kat sini bang. Saya tengah mancing ni bang. Ayolah. Waktu-waktu sekarang ni lah sibuk kau nak pergi belayar pula. Apa benda lah hai. Tahu takut? Tahu belah. Kepala budak.
A rather interesting innovation coming to MotoGP next year. What do you think the fans will make of it over here in Europe?
Judging by most people's comments, it's Marmite. It's you love it or you hate it. I'm certainly a fan of it. It's just great that we brought another manufacturer.
Yes sir. Abang Korea ke?
Yeah, it's very exciting.
BI tuna boleh lah.
You know, 12 to 16
Boleh lah.
on the grid. It'll be very similar to the bagger that's based
Boleh lah.
of what we're racing at the moment over in Moto America. And yeah, it's been fun. Myself and Carl Wyman have been here, just showing them around the MotoGP paddock, seeing what I've known for the last 15 years. And
Ikan
yeah,
Ikan air apa menadang apa tu tak tahu. Sorry.
to behold here at Le Mans, and you know, even the atmosphere today. So very much looking forward to it. I don't know exactly what racetracks there will be at, but it will be 6 races starting in Austin next year, and then 5 in Europe. So exciting times for everyone involved.
Absolutely, yeah. 6 Grand Prix across Europe and North America, 12 race series, plenty to look forward to in 2026 and beyond. Of course, we've been
Okay.
inundated with special
Biarkan di
celebrities
situ.
this weekend.
Kita tarik balik yang ni.
In the commentary box with us, and of course, we just saw their Tour de France legend, the record-breaking winner of stages in Le Tour, Mark Cavendish. This weekend, really enjoying the atmosphere of this
Buat nasi,
crowd.
lauk nasi dagang. Ikan kayu ke tu? Kan? Ikan kayu kan? Lauk nasi dagang kan? Ikan tongkol. Alamak. Baling cepreh.
Yeah, crisis of confidence.
Try belah sana pula.
Feeling.
Jangan belah sini, dapat dulu belah sini. Meriah ni.
Lacking confidence, just that front end is not talking to him. Just at that final end of trail braking there, just as he was about to fully release it and start, going into that neutral phase.
Kita tu bagi dia turun sampai 70.
Whatever it is, it's just not talking to him and not giving him the warning that he needs. The problem is if you listen to that.
Ikan tongkol tu ikan air. Main belah utara ni dia panggil ikan kayu.
The other thing is you don't listen to it, you push on and you end up on your backside.
Sebutan macam saya. Oh, ikan air.
And it's a difficult one to
Oh.
Spill yesterday for Bagnaia in the sprint, now leaves
Ikan air. Oh.
consistency. So
Kira itu apa? Selengganu lah tu.
challenge only Alex now remains as the only rider to score points in all sprints and races. So
Okey, dah sampai 70. Kita tarik.
to previous comeback, Yamaha
Sap, 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 sap.
well, you'd have to throw Mikel's name in.
Ya bang, Terengganu dunia bang. Gila.
For that special French flavoured livery for the Pramac squad.
Gila Terengganu.
Sponsors are the French sports car brand Alpine.
Oh. Oh. Yang tu je tahu. Oh.
Bike Miguel Oliveira will be competing on this afternoon. Of course, Pramac would feel, as you say, in normal circumstances, that they'll have every angle covered in these wet conditions. Miguel Oliveira, so often a front runner in these wet conditions, and feel the uncertainty, the more that Jack Miller will thrive this afternoon.
So there is Marc Marquez. He has not won a French Grand Prix since 2019. He has won 3 of them in the past.
Bombo orang Ganu ni bang. Jalan pun dah laju. Oh.
He was always an absolute
Orang Ganu biasa.
perfect time.
Oh, kaki pendek lah ke?
The change of tyres. Why do you think Mark has been so good down the years?
Nampak jalan tahu dah.
Flags, I mean,
Orang Ganu.
he seems to have that knack of knowing that they're absolute
Kaki ah, itu orang Ganu tu.
Yeah, he does. he doesn't lack feel, his reaction time, so he's never afraid necessarily to ride in slightly damp conditions with slicks, because his cat-like reflexes always seem to get him out of trouble. He's very dynamic on the bike. He's able to gather up a lot of mistakes, as we've seen over the years. So, yeah, I think part of that is just the no fear, full confidence attitude. And then just a really good communication with his team, knowing that when they
70.
say to pit,
Okay.
he pits.
I
You know, or yeah, I think that's what seems to always be the thing with his guys back there at Repsol Honda. They just always gave him the right information at the right time, and yeah, this will be interesting to see with Ducati if they've dialed it in as closely as they had at Repsol. Repsol had a lot of years to get it right, but yeah, you can't bet against him in these circumstances.
Yeah, he'll be a tough cookie to beat this afternoon. Will Marc Marquez.
Ui.
Just looking at the
Ui.
that is, of course, the slick options, which we hope for a dry Grand Prix. But if it is wet, well, there are two options: the soft front and rear, and the medium front and rear. We just saw as Fabio Quattro left pit lane, there was a few spots of rain on our camera lens on the outside of the first corner.
Were guys on soft this morning on the rain tyres, or did some guys try a medium or a hard? Did we see anything there? Yeah. Interesting just not to know what happens, because the Monster's one of those tracks that has quite high grip most of the time, because it's a new surface, except for the last corner, it seems. And then with these temperatures as well, you know, normally we would expect 12 degrees air temperature, maybe only 12 degrees track, but the track temperature will still be, I think, you know, well above 25 degrees right now. So maybe also playing the long game with a harder rain tyre could also pay out.
The majority of riders this morning were on the medium wet weather front tyre, sort of split between the medium and the front, but 2/3 went on the medium and the rest went on the soft, and everyone was on the soft rear rain tyre.
Those campsites have been rather noisy, it's fair to say, over the course of the weekend, as Marc Marquez already having a little bit of a practice, an audition, a dress rehearsal for a potential flag-to-flag bike swap. Going out there on fresh slicks. I don't know if he was maybe just scrubbing off a set of rain tyres there, potentially, Bradley. Well, why do riders sometimes tend to favour doing that?
It takes the shine off the top of the tyre, which in the rain definitely helps a ton. Just because the track's a lot less abrasive in the rain, you take off that shine quicker, and it seems to just have a better grip reaction.
Assalamualaikum, cikgu. Cikgu BJ ni memang tak kena barang main mancing. Hey.
Shiny and as slippery as it looks, and once you get it off, then it's okay. So that makes sense. And then
Saya main semua.
scrub the slicks just so
Saya dah lepak, saya dah borak. Sekarang saya nak gerak bang. Baik. Kita jumpa malam ni.
he can really
Di pom maghrib ni.
with a lightly scrubbed set of slicks there.
Ikut bang. Ikut. Ikut apa tu? Malik.
Yeah, the rain continuing to fall. It's just picking up ever so slightly now, but the biggest indicator of just how intense the rain is right now, a look across these packed grandstands, not a single umbrella up at the moment, which gives you an idea that it is still pretty light. No chance that anybody will start on wet tyres if the rain continues at this level, but the forecast does say as we get closer to the start time, it should intensify.
Nak hujan ni MotoGP ni. Sedap tengok ni.
I can just see 100,000 people are getting sore necks at the moment because they're all looking skywards to see what will happen weather-wise.
Hello.
Most of the weather forecasts when we arrived at the track this morning were suggesting strong rain at around 2 p.m. Local time. Well, safe to say we have plenty of home crowd heroes this weekend, one of them being Johan Zarco. The French fan would love it, wouldn't they, if Zarco was in the mix at the front of this Grand Prix. Let's get the thoughts of Johan, who is with Jack.
Johan, over 300,000 people here over the course of the weekend, all cheering you on.
Mami Mansa tu. Jumpa bro. Maghrib sekejap lagi.
Looks as though the rain will get heavier as we get closer to 2 o'clock. Right now, what are you thinking?
I'm waiting. We are on the bridge, but there are still 20 minutes to go. And it seems big clouds are coming. So we are just waiting. Right now we could go with slick.
Allah.
Already having the drops on the screen and on the helmet doesn't give a big confidence. But I think it's gonna rain. So I
LCR Honda rider Johan Zarco. You could just sort of sense the sort of tension in his voice there, couldn't you? As everybody just kind of waiting to see what happens with the weather.
The grid lineup, and everybody on our starting grid currently indicated to be starting on soft and rear, actually dry tyres. Against the weather forecast playing pretty heavily into that, because you might not need those dry tyres for very long once the race gets underway. The majority of the riders who spoke yesterday after the sprint said that they had no concerns of that soft rear tyre going full race distance if it were to be taken in dry conditions.
Pretty spectacular air show going overhead for the Le Mans fans here. I'm not sure I've really got the head or the stomach on something like that, to be perfectly honest. I'm much more happier and content when I've got both feet planted firmly on terra firma. Giving us a great view though of this Bugatti circuit as the drone camera then peels towards the grid. About 10 minutes away from the spectacular rousing rendition of the Marseillaise, which will have extra significance and meaning, with Fabio Quartararo starting from pole position. And perfect timing, let's see from Fabio down on pole with Jack.
Fabio, a record crowd, all wanting to celebrate later on, but these conditions less than ideal. Right now, how are you feeling ahead of the race?
Yeah, Le Mans is always tricky condition, and having the rain just before the start is always a mess. You never know if it's dry or wet, but we will have to give our maximum and try to see if we can make a great race today.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Fabio Quartararo, for talking to us. Thanks very much to Jack. He's not going to run off the grid again, is he?
Well, at least he knows the penalty never being does that. That has been confirmed during the week. If anybody does leave the grid, it has to leave the warm-up lap from the pit lane. We do now know, with great clarity in the section, your grid position, and so they double on that penalty in the race. So Marc Marquez is plotting another runner from the grid. He knows what awaits him.
What did you make of that? I'm sure you're watching, Austin. I mean, what did you think of when Mark went full Usain Bolt off the grid?
Well, I thought it was an absolute touch of brilliance until afterwards everyone explained what penalty he should have got. Yeah, he also turned round and did say that he did
Allah.
and once it's above 10 riders, then that's a red flag. But yeah, wily old Mark, and that's what I mean by he's just always got something up his sleeve. There's always something there that he's just thinking about how he can get an edge, which is why he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, well, he's had the edge so far this weekend, hasn't he? Certainly when it looks at the race pace. That was in the dry, though, of course, on the Michelin slick rubber, as you can see. He's looking up towards the threatening grey clouds. Cruci's there, Christian Gavarini. And I guess in this scenario, Bradley, ultimately the decision on what to do tyre-wise, strategy-wise, is down to rider. You listen to the feedback and the thoughts of team management, your crew chief, but I guess it's ultimately down to what the rider decides he wants to do.
Yeah, it's fully down to the rider, because also what rain we can get here on the pit lane is not necessarily what rain we have on the back straight. This track is just over the 4-kilometre mark. It's probably best part of 1.5 kilometres between here and the furthest point away, and that's just one of those ones where it can just be raining a little bit more or a little bit less. Also depends track by track. Sometimes the rain affects it straight away and it becomes like a sheet of ice, and other times you can actually get away with quite a lot of drops and you're still feeling grippy. So yeah, ultimately it's down to the rider, which all the pressure's on your shoulders, and also you have a look at what the other riders are doing. You go with the majority, and that's normally a safe bet.
There's some rather frantic radio calls going on right now, isn't there? Certainly on Bagnaia side of the factory, Ducati guys. We just saw there, didn't we, Marc Marquez having a chat with Ducati boss Davide Tardozzi.
Pretty heavy today.
On the distance there, yeah, off in the distance you can see that rain is starting to...
front tyre, I'm sure that is. That's Gavarini for Pecco. Pecco's decided to change that front tyre there, I think. Or they've just been keeping it warm until the very last minute.
Yeah, good spot, Bradley.
Oh.
Well, we saw off in the distance there, that looked like it was a sort of a round Shimano berth, didn't it?
Okay.
9 and 10, where the umbrellas,
Tinggalkan yang ni dulu.
the raincoats
Yang ni ada dekat.
were on. Now then, one rider who normally rebels in these kind of scenarios.
Assalamualaikum, salam.
Thirds, Rainer, we get a flag to flag. Well, you'd expect to be back into
Okey, dapat.
right at the sharp. And let's get the thoughts of
Okey, yang bluefin.
who's with Jack.
Yeah, the rain just starts to thicken down here on the grid. Jack, it looks as though this could be a flag to flag. What's going to be key to get
Guys, tak nak sembang ke?
Yeah, we'll wait
Hello.
and see what they say if they do
rain on grid or not. Apart from that, I mean, it's a lottery. It's anyone's guess. It's kind of not enough water at the minute to go to a wet saddle. Well, definitely not enough water at the minute, but it's also dodgy.
Alhamdulillah.
Good luck. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much to both Jack and Jack. We're sitting next to an ex-strategy.
Tolak.
Day.
Right now, he's quite happy to be sat in.
Gelak macam dengar you cakap seorang-seorang.
You hear the thoughts of some of these guys, Bradley.
Yeah, you could hear it in Jack.
Nasib baik dengar aku cakap.
Jack's not someone to
Dia
actually.
kata lu tak ada orang ah.
Even him is saying it's dodgy, so you know it's a risky situation.
Awal tadi you cakap mami monster kan.
Duk makan
To call.
Mami monster.
Still, what we got? We're still at 4.
Tergelak.
Hujan ni, tengah hujan ni. Baru hujan.
Kan tadi dia pun gelak pada pik dia.
Memang
Antara tergelak tak.
memang
Dengar
apa?
mami monster jaga sikit.
Memang jangka nak start race baru hujan.
Probably about 4 millimeters
Weather forecast.
Where the
not fun to be sliding.
where is
There's a little bit of scaredness sometimes.
Let's go and hear from a current
Yeay, Rimau masuk.
Formula 1 driver. He's down on the
Nasib baik bagi tahu. Kalau tak pukul 9 sampai.
What kind of challenge these
Aku rasa dia
Malam
ni
dia tanya lah, okey
semalam
lah.
pukul 10 dia masuk.
This is
Race dah habis.
can understand.
Ni mana satu Wak Arif ke Amin?
Buat masa sekarang ni aku tengok Warif ni.
In cars, it's a bit different. You know, you have full tires, more stability here. You can't make any mistakes. So,
Ami standby.
yeah, it's a top
Oh, okay.
leg, so whatever Mac does, you just do the same, I think.
Not a bad idea for Fabio and Johan. There's 120.
Hari ni tu Will buat tu dekat paddock PJ tu.
What is that like? The emotion
Apa buat apa?
Live viewing lah ramai-ramai.
probably quite special.
Oh,
I can't relate because I don't have a home Grand Prix, but yeah, it must feel
Ingat nak pergi KL tapi fikir-fikir balik. Ui,
ayalah jalan jam teruk lah.
jam teruk tu sebab cuti sampai Isnin kan?
Dia apa besok Wesak
Kau kau tak pergi? Kaya.
butuh apa dia?
Pecah kat depan rumah je.
Red Bull KTM Tech 3 bikes. Some last minute instructions and discussions going on here. Rizzo Anzarko,
Semalam Peko dah terbalik.
day 34 years old right now, doesn't he? Just looks sort of. He's 80.
Thank you for the share, guys. Hello. Oi, thank you for the share.
Kami ayam.
When you get to my age, you certainly can't talk about that. You know, as you mentioned, if Jack Miller says it's dodgy, well then you know it's dodgy. Anyone's guess about what the weather's going to throw at us, and anyone's guess about who's going to be fighting at the front of this MotoGP battle. Just trying to keep
Biasa macam dapat rasa kan. Tahun ni macam Alex Marquez lah yang champion.
his Mark Marquez.
Wih, kau punya firasat ni
Tough times.
Tahu dapat rasa macam tu sebab dia konsisten tau.
ada konsisten lah.
Dia boleh jadi macam Joan May tu. Tak
Betul?
menang banyak,
Betul?
tak tahu champion.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Jamil bukan tak menang banyak, menang satu.
Menang satu.
Tu kata apa Alex dah sama rekod dengan juara dunia sekarang. Dia dah menang satu.
Betul?
Hari ni aku nak tengok ni Fermin ni podium lah.
Asal lah?
Sebab masa dia Moto2 dulu 2 tahun lepas Ducati dah nak ambil dia tau.
Betul?
Tapi orang macam apa benda kau Moto2 pun tak power lagi kan. Ducati dah nak ambil. Lepas tu tahun lepas Ducati last ambil juga dia. So orang kata macam yalah, still Moto2 bukan dia menang pun tahun lepas kan. Dia performance macam tahi apa tahun lepas.
Dia nombor berapa? Nombor berapa ni? Motor tu.
Moto2 teruk juga dia tahun lepas.
Nombor
Mid
top
pack
5
kan?
ada lah.
Tak sampai top 5 pun.
Oh, ranking tak sampai top 5.
Kira macam orang kata macam cuma Ducati tahulah kot dia macam mana kan. Itu lah.
Oh. Bukan sebab muka lah.
Bukan sebab muka lah. Kalau ikut muka dia orang ambil aku dah right.
Ya.
Ya.
Well, we are approaching one of the most jaw-dropping and goosebump moments.
Patutlah susah naik trofi sebenarnya.
As Fabio Quartararo comes back to the grid, comes back to the head of the grid for the third time here in Le Mans. Pole in 2020, pole in 2021. pole once again in brilliant fashion yesterday. We're going to hear over 100,000 fans belt out a stunning rendition of the Marseillaise in the build of this French Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo said it gives him good.
Quartararo ni kalau dia dapat motor yang sama kompetitif macam Ducati, rasa dia je boleh fight dengan Marquez. Yamaha pun dia boleh ni, boleh fight.
Betul.
Rimau awal malam ni.
Awal tak nak terlepas, malah terlepas lah.
Dah berapa race terlepas?
Dua race eh.
Dua race lah minggu sebelum ni pun
ya.
sama tak?
Ni nasib baik cikgu WhatsApp dia. Kalau cikgu tak WhatsApp pukul 9 tadi dia masuk.
No, orang dah pesan padahal pukul 8.
Semalam cikgu cakap pukul 9 lah.
8 lah.
8
Semalam
lah.
yang pukul 9.
Oh. Oh yelah. Lupa. Kapten dah bagi tahu pukul 8 eh.
Kau punya tua kau boleh tahan juga eh.
Itulah. Short term memory lah. Sekejap pergi toilet.
Oi.
Weh, menitik hujan lah.
Memang start race ni
Wet.
nak start race ni memang dijangkakan hujan.
Tu dia orang pakai wet ke slick?
Ramai tukar wet lah tu.
Oh, ada yang pakai wet terus, ada yang pakai slick.
Tak lagi tak, tadi keluar tadi ada semua pakai slick lagi.
Oh, pakai slick lagi. Kali Mak Marquez lari pun.
Tak boleh lah. Dah belum lap berhenti lah sekarang.
Aduh.
Barang
yang
siapa
tu buat kekacauan kan. Seorang-seorang tak apa.
Haron Curut, thank you for the follow.
Tapi hari tu yang buat kacau, motor hilang lah. Kalau tak okey ya.
Sedapnya ayat aku.
Ayat apa?
Very different rider to rider, and mainly because it depends where you are in the championship. If you've got something to do with if you've got nothing to do.
Letak mikrofon celah pakut ke apa?
Tak, dia punya mic stand ni bunyi
Minyak ah.
Bau minyak.
Ya.
Bubuh spray minyak sikit lah. Bubuh minyak sikit. Minyak masak boleh lah.
Tak lagi.
Dekat part-part dia tu. Sighting lap tadi Mark keluar pakai tayar wet. Lepas tu dia masuk to repeat, dia tukar tayar slick. Lepas tu baru dia main kat grid.
Oh.
Sebab tadi masa keluar tadi still tak hujan lagi lah. Kira payung pun orang tak buka lagi.
Sama. Be. Selain seorang.
Nas kumpau.
Be.
Hak Hogan, thank you for the follow. Wow.
Hak Oga menceburi bidang racing.
Tak, aku tengah mancing ni, tengah sungai.
Oh. Frankrio.
Wakil game Brazil.
Franco, mobil lori.
Ajak casting bos, jangan. Ini pun aku buka game ni pun sebab tengah tunggu MotoGP. Couch casting boleh, couch casting tu yang casting couch. Sofa hitam lah.
Pelik.
Wait. Okey. Umpan udang lah. Tak boleh buka MotoGP ke kalau cikgu? Mana boleh? Nak kena ban.
Kena ban kan yo?
Boleh kena copyright lah.
Memanglah copyright kan.
Bubuh stiker apa tu? Kat Grand Prix tu kan.
Tak
Boleh kira template tu kan. Bubuh lah TV.
Tag game MotoGP 25. Buat pegang controller, buka kamera. Buka kamera buat pegang controller.
Buat tahu apa.
Ustaz, ada dulu Ustaz. Ada Twitch streamer seorang tu dia buat yang tu. Dia tengok dia tak ada lesen kan. Kalau hang nak stream pun hang kena ada kebenaran tau. Untuk stream macam tournament ke apa-apa kan.
Okay.
So mamat tu dia macam buka tu sambil dia pegang controller macam tu lah. Bodoh. Lepas macam babi. Dia buka kamera dia pegang controller.
Banyaknya air. Mana ni?
Banyaknya air, that's what she said.
Sarah kebaik. Ada.
Memang nak air duduk nasi duduk
Anak punya Kelantan.
Dia pun Jakarta Utara.
Bini orang
bila
Penang.
tak sekolah kan.
Habis. Oh.
Roba. Agak pun dia habis roba.
Oh sudah.
Oh, Diablo.
tak aci nasi mana
Anda peminat mana? Saya peminat gadis litar.
mana aci dengar dia kata mana aci
This is your Captain Matt Henry speaking.
Diri thank you for follow.
mana aci
Sekejap kita kuatkan kita punya stream ni.
aci
Cap, anak bergaduh kau Cap?
aci
Dah aku jeling dah.
Jeling dah.
Enjin baru dah kan, Fabi kan?
Enjin lepas test tu hari lah.
Lepas test hari tu ya?
Lepas dia orang test kat RS tu lah. Ada upgrade sikit lah. Bukannya V4 ke apa-apa lagi, belum lagi. Dia orang tak test pun V4. Kuat sangat ni. Kena copyright lagi lagu MotoGP ni pun.
Welcome back.
Tuan-tuan dan puan, perlumbaan hari ini. Oh shish. Duit. Tak hantar lagi resume. RTM sukan ada buka opening.
Boh yo.
Tak hantar lagi, lupa.
There's been steady rain, light rain falling for about the last 10 or 15 minutes or so here in Le Mans. The French crowd fanatical in their support for home crowd heroes Fabio Quartararo and Joan Zarco. We have had, for the third year in a row, a weekend record crowd here set by the French fans. Over 311,000 fans through the gates, of course, on the days here this weekend. Jack Apple, well, you can see visibly you're on board with Fabio.
Boleh lah, basah.
Ui.
Oi.
Lincing
Boleh
lah.
tu.
Udah berapa hari dah ni ah?
Jalan basah.
Ni dia hujan rintik tapi lama kan dah basah dah tu track tu.
Ni silap ni ada yang jatuh je gini.
Tu macam mana kira tu?
Dia pakai slick ke? Dia pakai slick ke?
Pakai slick, semua slick.
In the front there, everyone went wide through that first chicane. It
Lagi.
is treacherous out there.
Lepas tu nak kira macam mana tu? Masuk tukar daya semua apa?
Start pada pit dari mana?
Tak kat pit
Just staying upright on the warm-up lap at the moment is posing a big challenge, isn't it? As Marc Marquez just barely at walking pace almost, gingerly tiptoeing his way through Shimano berth. So then, who is going to potentially come into the pit lane as we're about to complete this warm-up lap here in Le Mans? The helicopter shot hovers above.
Of course, if you come up pit lane on the warm-up lap, you save yourself potentially
Semua pakai takut tu.
seconds of a flag-to-flag and bike swap. So there is real value in coming up pit lane now and starting the race on the pit lane. You're on the right tyres.
Merci beaucoup, French fans, as once again you have set a new all-time attendance record here this weekend in Le Mans. You are braving the elements here on Sunday.
Oi, teruk lah ni, betul.
Sports show on earth. The riders then.
Aku tengok buat goyang.
Kita yang menginjak dah.
Kita rasa gayat tu.
Terkemut-kemut buntut.
Coming now towards the pit lane entrance. We really need to see if anybody's coming into pit lane. There is the white flag being waved. Now then, there's a waiting game here. Everybody's trying to find out. Zarco's in. I think that's Zarco. I think Zarco's coming in.
Oh, kira pilihan lah rider nak masuk. Kalau tak mau, boleh. Ada tak yang buat ni?
Ada
Semua masuk. Nah.
Memang pasal tu.
I didn't see a single rider going round to the grid.
Well, that's what we expected, we have to say. With the big moment on board
Big red
with
flags
Fabio
out, red light
Quartararo.
panel flashing outside our commentary box window. This start has been aborted.
Red flag.
Lepas tu baris macam mana?
As soon as we saw what happened with Quartararo, the race red flag due to excessive number of riders at the pit lane exit, which means we're into the quick start procedure, which will be applied. There's Brian Weber at the end of pit lane, the MotoGP starter. He's waving the red flag.
Tapi rasanya kalau semua masuk ni memang ya red flag
Red flag sebab terlalu ramai.
Everybody in one piece and
Kecoh.
Ni kat grip balik lah ni.
Kira warm up oleh sekali lagi lah.
It really does, yeah.
Quick restart procedure akan ada warm up ni setting lap warm up sekali lagi kot.
He's perhaps the rider breathing the biggest sigh of relief right now because he was so nearly on the deck 3 corners into the warm-up lap.
Awak kacau.
Sebab dia tak tahu red flag tu.
Quick restart
Ah.
will be underway, of course.
Oh, reflect tunggu time buka balik kan?
14.08 5 minit.
5 minit pun. Balik piu kau.
And then there'll be a warm-up lap and we'll be underway. 14:08 local time. Then the quick restart procedure.
Wui buit.
Oh, special livery ya.
Fabio Quartararo. He's been breathing a huge sigh of relief as he downside that factory Yamaha garage. Jack, we knew this was going to be a guessing game in terms of the weather for the bang-up-to-date ladies. What's going on?
Yeah, the problem is that the rain has just started to slacken off ever so slightly. It's obviously damp out there, but it is no more than that. With the guys getting back underway in 3 or 4 minutes' time, they will, I'm sure, start under wet tyres, but it is not out of the equation here.
Akan ada tukar motor ni.
And I say, it is starting to ease off, though we could still see a flag-to-flag and
Maksud daripada wet ke asli ya?
dry tyres over the next half an hour, 45 minutes or
Sebab lagi
so.
bila hujan dah kurang ke apa-apa, tayar akan jadi overheat tau.
Over the next 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, jangan
Jadi
naik.
track pun kering bila dah lalu amat.
Betul.
Banyak orang.
Sebab dia kata hujan kenyai dan lembap dia kata.
That's in just under 4 minutes' time. That's when the implemented a quick restart procedure will be underway.
Oh, race distance reduce eh?
Kurang 1 lap.
26 laps because of course the riders are
Okay,
to refuel their motorcycles. So 1 lap taken off the distance due to the extra warm-up lap.
Minyak out lah dia kata sebab minyak out.
Doing now, Bradley. I mean,
Pada bajet minyak apa semua kan.
would you have to go on to wets? Would you wait to the last minute to see if the rain's eased off enough to stay on the slicks? I mean, what a tough call this is right now.
yeah, it's just so difficult. But the good thing is literally it's take bike 1 or bike 2, and you just make that final decision probably about 30 seconds before you're about to roll out on the grid. They know how the track feels now. They've had an opportunity to do that sighting lap, and they know that it's extremely greasy. So I would say the safest play and the most
Baju
smart
tak sampai
play
lagi ni.
at this point is probably to stay upright
Baju
on
grey
the
sini.
wets until it dries out.
Baju
And then
gaming.
if it dries
Dah
out,
baju grey sini.
Beli yang tu lah, Sela Indo tu.
Itu original grey sini punya tu.
Gain by saving yourself.
Berapa tu yo?
90 tu.
3 or 4 laps if it's still
Bagi link.
out there and you're wobbling around on
Nanti aku pergi.
that's the balancing act you've got to make between
Aku size L tu.
Sebab dia kalau dia orang datang jual kat Malaysia tu,
Bizarro
dia ada reseller dekat Malaysia.
1 or more pit stops
lain lah.
Harga 1-2 tu hari.
Wrong set of tyres in inverted commas to be able to stay in contention.
Dan itu hari first day Sepang pun dia orang bawa berapa ratus 100 lebih
Reopen again in 2 minutes.
dia bawa pergi Sepang tu hari kan. First day habis.
Oh, berat lah.
Sebab dekat motor Park MY tak ada jual benda tu.
Itu apa pasal? Nanti bagi link lah.
Well,
Baik.
obviously, if it's raining, it means that you have to use less lean angle when trying to get your knee down. But then also, it's a really good gauge. Actually, even if he does end up putting slicks on the bike, it's a really good gauge just to keep that up that extra little bit, because this track will be more greasy than it was yesterday. We won't be seeing the 129s, you know, of the qualifying. This will be a little bit slower, and it will just give him that opportunity that if he was to slide, he can dig in that knee an extra little bit, because you probably won't have your elbow down early on, so it's the knee will be the main thing that will save you.
Some big calls to make very, very shortly, because we are, about 90 seconds away from the pit lane opening here in Le Mans for what will be, we hope, the real start of this French Grand Prix. Race distance cut down to 26 laps. Once that pit lane is open at 14:08, it'll be open for 1 minute, and then the riders will come to the grid. They'll be greeted by one of their crew just to make sure everything's in full working order. Wet race has been declared then here by the organisation in Le Mans.
Which means you can change bikes at any moment. You don't need to wait for a white flag as you do in a dry Grand Prix. Wet race means that bike swaps are permitted from the start.
Looking cool as a cucumber. He looks relaxed on the outside, doesn't he, Jack Miller? But I'm sure inside, even somebody with the experience of Miller at Bradley, and a rider who normally excels in these kind of conditions, there'll be a few butterflies in that stomach.
Yeah, no doubt, but he smells an opportunity right now. This is his moment. He's proven time and time again that he's strong here, as you said. Yeah, Pecco going out on those wets there at the moment.
Yeah, so it's the wet setup for Bagnaia, likewise for Brad Binder. You'd think it would be somebody taking a real big roll of the dice, a real big gamble if they do come to this restart on slick tyres. So there is Bagnaia then, just with Marco Bezzecchi behind. You can see them pumping the front brake, trying to get some temperature in those discs. Certainly feels like one of the coolest conditions of the weekend so far. Fabio Quartararo out on the Michelin rain rubber as well. Let's hope this particular outing around Le Mans is slightly less eventful and scary than his last one, where he nearly crashed on the warm-up lap before our aborted start.
Marco Bezzecchi were informed. Jack has gone for dry weather tyres. The only rider who has rolled the dice. So if the rain does stop and another bike change is permitted, then Marco Bezzecchi could be in the pound seats. But we'll be watching it very, very closely. He's the only rider to go that route. What a boy.
Ada rider keluar slick
Yes, well, we did say it would be an almighty gamble for somebody. Well, I guess with absolutely nothing to lose, Marco.
What a boy.
Marco Bezzecchi.
The only rider in the field that is starting this. Both factory Aprilias actually. Jorge Martin's injury replacement, Lorenzo Savadori, being informed, has also gone out on slick tyres.
Savadori dengan dengan Bezzecchi.
Gamble lah.
With the least to lose, has decided, hey, I might as well. In for a penny, in for a pound. Let's put some dry tyres on.
Nothing to lose kan dia orang.
Turns in his favour.
Tapi takut turn 9 tu
Slightly shortened 26 lap race.
Nak tengok motor
tu turn 9.
Tengok anak.
Everybody bar Aprilia.
Pilih dua, nak tengok anak ke tengok MotoGP?
GP
quick start procedure on Michelin's rain tyres. You just see there Marc Marquez.
Jago. Sini.
Feel
Oi, siapa pakai sini?
Ducati of Alex Marquez.
Oh, tayar saya. Ini.
Pit lane is closed on our timing screen, so you're not allowed up pit lane on this side lap. You have to go to the grid.
Hai.
Well, they are coming in.
Oi, bakal tukar.
riders have gone round to the grid, but Alex Marquez, Brad Binder, Babbage, Jan Antonio, Mark Marquez,
No.
Costa and others are coming up pit lane. That pit lane closed
Saya
basically
macam drama.
from our time in
Agak
screen.
reflect.
Definitely saw some riders going round to the grid, but these are all changing back to slicks again.
Are they going to deem this
Lepas tu dia start daripada ni lah.
Mabuk saya cuaca dekat Timor ni.
Pit lane, and assumingly they'll take
Tapi ada warm up lagi kan.
I mean,
Bagnaia, Bezzecchi, Jack Miller and others are in the pit lane. This is of course the sighting lap, not the warm-up lap, so they will leave the warm-up lap and start from their grid positions, but they will join the grid now, and I'm assuming, according to the new start protocol, all of these riders are now locked in for a double long lap penalty.
so who have we got then? We've got Rins, we've got Miller, we've got Bezzecchi, we've got Bagnaia, who stayed out there. They're on their rain tyres. We've got Mark and Alex Marquez.
Bagi. KO
Comes on. Both the factory KTMs are
Ha,
back.
sekarang ni macam mana?
So
Kalau ikutkan rule ni, double non-leg dah dia ni.
a bit more than half a dozen riders
Double non-leg?
Ha.
on Michelin's rain tyres. I mean,
Of course, this is the right decision, and it
Oh,
is
pula.
the right thing to go on slick. She'll very quickly win the time back as a double long lap penalty because you're not going to have to make a bike swap.
But remembering that the long lap could be wet.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no bikes going on it. You know, that long lap penalty could be wet.
Oh, dia orang tak boleh switch motor tadi.
Sebab kalau dah start apa prosedur sebelum warm up kot, macam mana tau.
these are a bunch of riders though out on.
Kau dah tak boleh masuk pit balik dah.
Mark Marquez being
Dia kena penalty habis semua ni. Yang masuk tadi.
Yang masuk tu kena double non-leg.
both Grazini, Di
Sepatutnya
Castro in.
sebab rule baru kan, tak tahu. Tu pergi test terus nampak. Terus pergi test.
To do that at the top of your picture. Was that one of the factory riders?
But I hope it doesn't rain again, by the way. If it rains again, they're going to have to
Sebab nanti kat situ basah tu.
the second or third bike change
Yeah.
of the day already, and the Grand Prix hasn't even started yet.
Any rider who leaves the grid starts
Sebab tu double non-leg penalty tu.
Pak double non-leg tu.
Tapi dia untung sebab dia orang tak payah masuk tukar motor. Kalau cuaca elok,
Ya.
Ya, tapi dua
Banting kat situ lah.
double non-leg makan kalau dia cakap 5 second ke dia orang buat kan. Sebab dia orang masuk, bila masuk pit kau kena
Limit
slow.
speed,
Lebih daripada 20 saat tu.
Just to clarify, in addition to that comment from Mike Webber you saw on screen, the new protocol that also applies to riders,
Bapak ini betul-betul drama.
which is what happened with the 10 or 11 riders that we've seen go on the sighting lap.
Is it normal to feel nervous?
Yeah, not as nervous now.
You are so happy.
Siapa tadi kepala masuk pit tadi?
Semua tadi di Jan Antonio.
Who's going to happen?
DJ depan.
Does lie in store then? 26 laps. It feels like we've already
Fabio sekali tu Pak.
worth of drama in Le Mans, and we've not even had lights out so far for this French Grand Prix. About 13 minutes later than what we'd envisaged, but we are finally going to get some race action here in MotoGP.
Oh, ini kena tempuh ni.
A whole bunch of riders, including
Apa drama tu.
Marquez, are going to have to serve double long laps at some point in this Grand Prix. But finally,
Takut first turn yang depan depan ni.
racing in MotoGP here in France, firing away on those slick tyres. His pulse on Fabio Quartararo. Fermin Aldeguer has made a blistering start as well. On the podium less late in the sprint, but it's Mark Marquez that will...
Oh, sentuh dah.
Side he goes to
jatuh.
on the brakes.
Bezzecchi ni lah.
Into the Dunlop chicane.
Siapa jatuh ni?
Marquez that leads.
Tak jatuh. Oh, tu
Tu jatuh dah.
KTM's into the Dunlop chicane. Bagnaia was already plummeting backwards.
Kali.
Ekor jatuh.
Jatuh tempat sama.
Out of race action.
Hang gagal.
Dia pakai wet tayar tu.
As well, it was Duan Mir, unfortunately. Yeah, Duan Mir was unfortunately. That looked like he came out the worst of that one.
Oi!
Real pinch point that Dunlop chicane, isn't it?
When it rains, it pours, right? It just nothing seems to be going well for Pecco at the moment. I think it was Binder that got in the side. No, side of Binder as well.
Fabio.
If they show a replay, look out for that.
Yeah, Bastianini on the factory KTM has rejoined the race. At the front there, it's Quartararo that leads, just as he did in the sprint here yesterday. I think Alex Marquez there, just indicating to Fermin out. There's confirmation. Pecco Bagnaia then did crash, as we knew he had done after the Dunlop chicane.
Duan Mir.
Duan Mir looked like he really did come out the worst of that one. Happy to see the 2020 World
Bagnaia kena bawa tadi.
Tak tahu.
There's no question that the riders that came on pit lane on the sighting lap for Swiss made the right decision.
Dia mandi.
Drive.
Tengok.
Bagnaia has rejoined and presumably went straight up pit lane.
Macam dia mandi kan. Asyik turun.
So we're about to
Bagnaia masuk late race.
be an incredibly dramatic
Salvadori nombor 15 ya.
Join. Ni ke? Crash ke tadi?
Cikgu tengok live bila tu? Live hari ni ke? Tengah live ni?
Tu apa hal pula masuk pit balik?
Double on lap. Ada orang masuk pit balik?
Tiga orang.
Ya, yang tadi tak tukar tayar ni.
Tadi tak tukar tayar.
Tukar ni, tukar sleeve balik. Memang kering dah track.
Ekor jatuh, dia bukan gagah cikgu, dia beban.
Jangan jatuh tengok. Nanti dia goyang. Nak.
Sayang.
Ya. Dia dokam.
Sayang minyak.
Laju je kau terlalu.
Dia tengok Allah.
Kan boleh tukar motor kan.
Boleh tukar motor.
Bijak tak dia rejoin?
Dia sebab dia pakai tayar wet tadi kan. Dia tak masuk.
Dia tak masuk. Jadi dia jatuh tu, kalau ada rosak motor dia pun untung ada.
Ya. Lepas tu dia tak kena long lap penalty kan.
Tak kena.
Dia tak kena.
Makin slow ni. Kau terlalu pun dah 1 second.
Hold the game.
Nak.
Bastianini's been given a double on that penalty, although I suspect that might be for taking down Bagnaia on the first lap. Vinales also has his double on that penalty. All those riders who came through on the side to him into pit lane are surely going to be coming up into the...
Tunjuk lah insiden tadi. Peko jatuh ni.
Lalu tengah gamat ni, kau replay kan orang lain jatuh pula tu. Sabar tu.
Oh ya.
Dia tengah rapat ni.
Marquez tak ada pun dapat.
Belum lagi. Tak keluar signal ni. Dia keluar satu-satu.
Tak keluar sekaligus ya. Hardy pun lag.
Ramai.
Utik nolak.
Baby
Awal.
Buat tak kalut.
Difficult to follow this, isn't it? Working out
Biasa
which have taken two, which haven't taken any.
It's a good one for Jordan Bradley, because we need a third set of eyes in the commentary box here today, just to keep abreast of what is happening. So Quattararo then, having served the first of his 2 long laps, has rejoined this Grand Prix in 5th place.
Alex Marquez is your now leader on the road. In effect, Quattararo is your leader in real time because he served a long lap. He's behind Vinales now in 4th.
Betul, leader dia sekarang ni Quattararo sebab dia dah buat satu long lap lah.
Basah lagi ni 134.
Baba nak tengok motor GP. Tengok dia potong. Okey, nak air. Nak air.
Dia tengah ni kena semangat.
Bagnaia. Dia orang potong Bagnaia tu.
Baik marker tu.
Dia kena bagi jalan lah kan? Aduh, macam mana nak race?
Oi!
That was almost Mark's front tyre washed out going through turn 7. We saw how aggressive Alex Marquez, Fermin Aldeguer and Vinales, I think it is, who've come through along that peloton. So Marquez still staying out there. Quattararo also.
Dia ligan dulu, baru dia pistol balik.
Dia kena buat dalam masa 3 lap.
3 lap.
3 lap.
Dalam masa 3 lap dia kena buat daripada first signal.
Oi.
Marquez dah buat ke?
Belum ni.
Belum.
Quattararo dah buat satu.
Lagi kan?
Quattararo ada satu ni.
Quattararo tengah semangat
Moral up.
Prima.
Moral tengah merah ni kalau main PES ni.
Apa drama.
Dia jatuh.
No.
Pijak ke.
Tak. Ada orang langgar ah.
Tak ada lah. Dia jatuh.
Ya ke?
Tak rasanya.
Dia jatuh.
hujan balik.
Aduh. Hujan lebat-lebat.
Basah lagi. Memang dia orang keluar 134.
Ah, pijak curb sikit lah. Dalam
Macam
curb tu.
Marquez kena 24 lah gitu 23 masa Honda gitu.
Ah, tempat tu bertakung sikit apa tu.
Ya, ya.
What the F. Dengan kondisi prima.
Oi.
Itu peluang dia tadi nak menang.
Second place in the race, Alex Marquez, and of course Aldeguer's now in fourth place. As mentioned, there are 4 riders still on wet.
Ya. Alex Marquez, leader.
Seconds off the race lead.
Mengai pula bro, mengai tengah tengok MotoGP.
Marquez in for the first of his double long lap penalties. He's immediately followed by Alex Aldeguer as well. Vinales and Acosta. All hell has broken loose here, hasn't it? In Le Mans. Fabio Quattro, you could have heard the groans in Paris. You'd have heard the groans in Marseille.
Habis taruh.
Final corner.
Jadi Ducati Cup balik
Dia tu.
Acosta nombor 3.
Acosta dia.
Tak hidup.
Sampai dia marah Marshall tu pula.
Kadang-kadang Marshall tak bagi. Sebab dia orang nak kena tolak balik bagi motor hidup ke apa-apa kan. Dah corner kan bahaya kan.
Oh ya.
Vinales, Acosta and Vinales.
Masuk tukar motor.
Oh, pakai apa? Sleep. Nak tukar balik.
Ha.
Apa pelik tu.
Sebab bila race dah declare wet race, kau boleh tukar motor anytime.
Ya. First time aku tengok motor yang
Kecoh ni. Pening Marshall ni.
Tukar.
Crazy action is unfolding here in this French Grand Prix.
Oh, laju lah. Aku tengok dia corner dah tak ada ni.
Oh, hujan balik nampak ni, rintik balik.
We're on board with Alex Marquez directly ahead of him.
So tukar balik.
Brother Mark. This is down through La Chapelle. You can just see there in the background is firmly down there. You can just see how
Tapi
slow ya.
kalau taruh join balik ni ada
Basah lagi.
dropped off here.
Jack Miller is now
Ada Chan masuk tukar.
pace. Marquez did a 41.8 on that last lap. Jack Miller matched it on a 140.9 on the rain tyres. He is 20 seconds off the race lead and
Dia kena serve satu lagi kan.
again if it rains.
Oh, and Alex is getting in hot there.
No, wait.
Track limit.
Basah kan.
Alex Marquez has done his 2 long laps.
Bapa tak boleh join situ nak.
Third there.
Ni.
Ni ter 9 bahaya.
Ni ada.
Tapi Salvadori dia wet lagi
Rasanya. Salvadori tak tukar motor gitu.
Dia tak tukar slip, dia stay.
Kalau sama Dori podium sial.
To Gian Antonio, Alex
Tak silap dia boleh menang.
both of his.
Dia tak ada long lap penalty. Dia tak ada. Dia motor dia pakai tayar wet.
Ini yang kena dekat last turn juga.
Salvadori naik
Final corner.
Itu siapa yang degil tak tukar tu? Pemi ni?
Firmino. Firmino masuk.
Firmino masuk.
Bila lagi nak lead? Bila lagi nak lead?
Now leaves Furman
Bishang first turn.
for this Grand Prix. Mark and Alex clearly feel now it's just got too wet for slick tyres. They're back in then for rain rubber.
Aldeguer leads this race now by 12 seconds from Fabio Di Gianantonio.
No, dah
Ni nak
merayap.
bawa macam mana sial.
Salvadori! Salvadori podium.
Oi, podium sial sama Dori.
The weather's coming in at that final corner, and that's where everyone's going down.
MotoGP mayhem here in Le Mans, isn't it? Here's your race leader, Furman Aldeguer. Bagnaia is in.
Rasak mak bro, motor.
Bagnaia is back in.
Ambil motor tu balik.
Sama Mbak Naya kena pakai motor yang sama lah tadi lah.
Motor yang dia pakai first tadi ya.
This is just a
Oh, dia tak boleh change tayar.
Bradley.
Yeah, like I said,
Boleh je lah rasanya, tapi lambat hari dia.
have to do the same.
No.
Rookie, so he
Sepatutnya dia punya team kena repair motor first dia tadi tu.
To garage there. Bagnaia
crashed out.
Bagnaia has rejoined the race. Binder's gone down for a second time then.
Tak ada shoes. Awak tak ada shoes. Nampak shoes tak ada.
A tandem crash at the last corner with Quattararo a few laps ago.
Ini menegak ini bahal bro.
Antonio who now is second, albeit nearly 13 seconds behind your race.
Bapak kedudukan dah kacau tu. Ada yang depan duduk belakang. Yang belakang duduk depan.
Pening Marshall ni.
Zarco's running in 5th place in this Grand Prix, ahead of Miguel Oliveira.
Gayat bodoh nak ambil corner.
Berbeza.
Brake yang power hujan pun kon.
Tengah tegak tu.
Firmin dah masuk tu.
Ya, Salvadori masuk.
Bukan.
Bukan.
Firmin.
Tu Aldeguer tu, Firmin.
Ha, tegak je. Macam naik mini bike je bro. Macam naik pocket bike ke nampak tegak je. Oh, Salvadori masuk dah? Masuk pit? Oh, Salvadori start dengan slick tadi.
Oh.
Dia start dengan slick.
Oh.
Wah, mantap Zako.
Tak apa. Apa si siapa? Orang cakap ni tak ada Quartararo, tak ada Zako ada lagi.
Mantap Zako.
Oh, lag man.
Bodoh lah.
Capek. Bocor.
Nak mute kat mana?
Sorry, jap.
Tak apa, dia masih sedar.
Top left of your screen, he's approaching the Shimano Borak S's, and is he going to go down as well? He does.
Oh, tu siapa jatuh?
Oh, siapa pula jatuh tu?
Marco Bezzecchi.
Tak tukar layar?
Ini hari ada Chan nampak black flick ni.
Black Flip tengah-tengah hujan patah pinggang tu. Zaku shoot carry France pula. Ha, beban satu negara ni.
Oh, Zako France
Yelah. Tim pula tim ACR pula tu. ACR tim France juga.
Oh, LCR tu France.
Yup.
Banyak Jepun.
Dua-dua walaupun Idemitsu tu ACR tu, tapi ACR tu tim France.
Oh, bukan Jepun pun.
Idemitsu taja.
Oh, sponsor je.
Yeah. Dia masih LCR.
Massive party that will be unfolding if John Zarco wins this Grand Prix. Here's Marc Marquez here on screen on the 9.3. Let's check his lap times. I think he's going to
Jauh juga tu.
Zarco on this lap. Zarco did a 45.5. Marc Marquez actually only did a 45.3. He was much quicker than Oliveira, who's now catching on track. But John Zarco has 8 seconds to play with over the World Championship leader.
Holy
Zarco a 45.5. Oliveira was in the low 148. So
Oli kan doktor kan? Ada PhD.
Yeah, serius ah. Dia ada bakat tapi tak ada lak. Siang tu.
Fortunately for Miguel, he's on the medium rear wet, which obviously he started at the beginning of the race.
No, potong.
Just
keluar.
seems that the more this rain falls, the more slippery and less temperature he's able to get in that rear tyre.
As always, for the second time, you can vote at home for your rider.
Oli punya helmet tahun ni tak lawa langsung.
Siapa?
Who's left in this?
Oli.
Oh.
At the end of it, Marquez has got through.
Oi, let break dulu.
Lesen tak habis lagi Jepun ni tu. Baru beli pula. Beli 30 hari.
So now there is Marc Marquez. Out he goes of garage there. Oliveira's going to get pushed off the podium. Well, right now, that was coming. As Bradley just said, he's suffering on that medium rear rain tyre.
30 hari RM20.
Time though, having to navigate around Miguel Oliveira, who was struggling. That lead has grown now for Johan Zarco.
Beli mana tu? Ada dekat dalam dia punya ni.
Pijak cup sikit
Dalam dia punya shop tu.
Well, he's had some special moments in his career as Johan Zarco, but this will top the lot, won't it? A double Moto 2 world champion.
Cari ada.
Memorably for the
goyang.
a twix there. Ozzy got on the power coming out of the
8 second, Mat.
He's getting the message. P1 plus 8 seconds. We're only on lap 10.
Oh, Oli pakai medium tayar belakang. Susah sikit nak maintain temperature.
Even now, Brad, it's just a massive test of his focus and his concentration.
Yeah, but he's doing fine at the moment. He is the fastest guy on track, I think. Maybe Alex Marquez took 0.2 out of him, but that's nothing, you know, when you've got an 8-second lead. So it literally is just stay focused, keep an eye on your pit board at this point, and just react if you have to.
Yeah, Zarco, Mark and Alex have that Michelin soft rear rain tyre. in that top three.
Oh, Mak slow
Oliveira, Acosta, and
Alex yang laju
trio behind them, that they're on the medium option rear tyres. Well, there's another twitch there for Zarco as he got on the gas coming out of Museum.
16 laps to go in this race, so Marc Marquez needs half a second a lap over Zarco to catch him from here. And remember what we've seen in wet races over the years. If we do have a circuit that starts to dry out again and those wets start to wear, who is generally the master in those kind of conditions? It's Johan Zarco.
And then also you have to think with regards to Mark, he looks up the road, he sees Johan, it's not a championship contender, he doesn't have to worry, he just
Betul.
needs to manage his
Apa kata dia ni betul?
Betul.
Tak payah risau.
Kan? Dia podium pun cukup lah kan.
Doesn't have to turn the screw.
Sama Zako lah.
Tak. Apa Mark dengan Alex lah.
Mak Alex.
Oh, Mak Alex.
Tak risau lah sebab Zako. Zako bukan contender pun. Tak payah nak push sangat.
Oliveira is continuing to fall away. He's now going to fall into the clutches of the KTMs of
Wah, Zako menang.
They're 5th and 6th. Aldeguer really paid the price for leaving it a lap longer to make his bike change. He's now 18 seconds off the lead and 10 seconds behind the Marquez brothers, who he was battling with when he was out there on dry tyres.
Makin lebat lah.
The French fans just look at
PE.
Zarco
PE.
already daring to dream that they are going to witness one of their own potentially win the French Grand Prix. They're holding the front pages, aren't they, right now? The national newspapers here.
Serap. God.
Macam makin basah ya tadi.
Makin kelabu tengok ni, makin kabur ni.
6 seconds is his advantage. He was only a 10th quicker than Marc Marquez in that last lap, which is all he needs to do.
Dia hujan rintik kan.
Going to see him win this French Grand Prix.
And there, Bastianini's been given a double penalty.
Nak bumbung apa ni?
Meriah lah Zako duduk depan kan.
Of course, there are all sorts of regulations also around bike swaps.
Dia baru ada satu win kan, MotoGP.
Zako.
Baru satu hari.
Speeding in pit lane basically ni.
Kan dia last hari tu dia flip masa Moto2.
MotoGP dah flip dah kan?
Yalah, lepas tu dia flip MotoGP sekali.
Sekali je lah kan, dia pernah menang kan?
Sekali ya. Ni kalau dia flip lagi sekali kedua.
Jack, let's head down to you.
Menang hometown. Mantap.
Actually see what happened to Jack, but it was a crash at the final corner, unfortunately for the Australians. I can tell you the team are absolutely devastated because Jack was one
Kampung saya ni.
that started the race on wet tyres. They got the strategy
Bonus
but unfortunately it crashed the Jack at the final corner.
Yeah, this feels like one that really did get away.
laju Zako dia orang ni mati kena tinggal ni.
Yamaha, they got
Track dia bro.
Kampung dia.
here is Oliveira.
Kampung dia tak payahlah macam tu tu.
Steam.
Okay.
Yang Zako pun kostum
Barang jadi
Zarco, Mark and Alex, then you've got further down.
Kau tengok makin lebat ni hujan ni.
Nakagami are inside the top 10. Salvador is on the
2/3 lah.
Marini
Bagi cepat menang kat Zako.
Still running. He's a lap behind. He might still hoover up some World Championship points later on if some more riders drop out. So continuing to outpace Marquez brothers. His lead now up over.
Tayar dia tak kena.
The key thing for Zarco now is just to make sure that he's got
Masuk.
some green rubber in his soft Michelin rear for the end of this Grand Prix. As Acosta now moves up into 4th place as Oliveira continues to slide back down the order.
Zarco has had
Oli apa salah?
GP podium finishes here.
Ye, naik level 75.
Nothing will
Dia
come.
tayar medium.
He does get the job.
Oh.
Potentially to celebrate his 150th
Keras ke?
GP start.
Tayar belakang medium ni pakai.
Acosta them.
Ni
Nampak,
temperature tak ada.
Miguel Oliveira.
Lambat pandai.
This trio are a long way back over Alex Marquez in terms of the podium positions. 5 or nearly 6.
Tak jumpa lah cikgu, ada tak mana ya?
Third place.
Aku masuk. Sekejap, aku mute dah.
Tapi kalau ujung-ujung
Aku masuk tadi dekat
ujung race sedap dia kan, medium.
dekat shop dia tadi, tapi dia kecil, dia belah kecil atas. Aku nak kata pun tak tahu.
Tak pasti ya.
Nakagami, of course, another rider who never changed bikes or tyres. That's why
Kira orang lain dah haus dia ada bunga lagi. So macam mana?
Dia tak botak ke? Panas dengan sejuk lah.
Inside the top 10 in the MotoGP.
Gana-gana tak?
Bukan
Cap.
Kalau maksudnya kalau macam Oli pakai medium kan, nanti last ujung-ujung race dia sedap lah kan?
Taklah juga. Sebab dia
Tak
kena
juga.
sebab selalunya orang pakai macam tayar basah yang panas dekat, contohlah Jerez hujan macam tu lah.
Cuaca yang memang panas negara apa ni, kawasan situ.
He's running in 16th place. Benzeki's the next rider.
Saya tak ada kaitan dengan distance ni lah, pakai distance race ni.
Tak ada sih.
Alex Marquez is not. He's doing
Cuma
27 and now 2.5 seconds.
sekejap lagi kalau hujan makin kering, dia lambat panas sikit lah kot. Orang lain akan cepat panas lah. Ha. Kalau hujan makin kering lah. Sini taruh kat sini. Aku tadi dekat sini tau. Dekat personal offer ni, dia ada kat sini. Ujung atas ni. Dia ada dekat atas ni tadi.
Certainly get a lot more traction out of the rear tyre. It's something that he's done all of his career, and that's why it seems to always work in Phillip Island and also in the rain.
At the moment is Zarco.
Mesti ramai menyumpah kan. Bangkai cuaca sini.
Tak apa, baru sonok sikit.
Ya.
I feel absolutely mentally exhausted. We've still got 30 and a half laps remaining, with Zarco at the front by 9.2 seconds as he gets halfway around this.
Baru replay. Lama betul.
Siapa masuk? Oh,
Tak tahu siapa dah. Oh, Juan Mei.
Juan Mei pula kena dengan orang lain pula.
Kena belakang. Siapa tu depan?
Tak, yang KTM tu mula tu siapa tu?
KTM siapa dah?
Rebinder.
Vinales.
Dia kat depan.
Macam ni ni.
Tu. Apa?
Oh, Pedro.
Macam ni ni.
Macam ni.
Macam Pedro je helmet dia.
Bukan. Nombor putih.
Pedro kat depan.
Wah,
Such a consistent pace he's setting the moment in those low 46s, and he's just continuing to eke that advantage out. Does Marc Marquez at this stage have the appetite to chase him down?
Seems that Alex Marquez made a mistake. I didn't quite catch that one, but he's actually dropped 2.6 seconds off the back of his brother. So at some point he's had a moment, but he seems to have gathered it back up again.
Heading for the thoughts right now. Lucho checking to know who's looking on.
Panas.
I don't know about
These are thoughts of 100,000 Frenchmen in the grandstands.
These are going to feel like 1,300 laps, aren't they? Right
Klop
now,
dang.
Zarco. Don't forget at home you can vote for your right.
Dah 10 saat.
QR code on the bottom right corner of the screen or vote.monogp.com. I think at the moment.
Vote. Vote Zarco.
Our first rider of the race, of course, was a Frenchman, Fabio Quattararo, for his podium breaks last time out in Jerez. Are fans going to keep their iron grip on the Rider of the Race award?
And his lead, Johan Zarco, is now over 10 seconds through the second sector of this lap. As we watch Miguel Oliveira, obviously the field naturally in a flag-to-flag and a wet race.
Ya, panas. Tak boleh.
Than it is normal, so Oliveira still on course for some very good points here, likely to still finish as long as.
Tu takkan Nakagami top 10
He's 147s. Is Miguel Oliveira, so he's now
White cut.
Sama Lori pun top 10.
so he's not going to fall too quickly into the clutches of Aldeguer, Nakagami and Raul Fernandez. So as long as Oliveira boxes close.
Fermin tu drop ke belakang rasa sebab dia tak ada pengalaman kan.
MotoGP first wet race pula.
Be interested to see what the trade point is between the soft rain tyre and the hard rain tyre. The rain's definitely stopped, so at some point it's going to start to dry more and more, and it'll be interesting to see when the soft actually drops off. But looking at the pace of Johan, that's not yet at the moment. A 45.3 that lap.
Yeah, 10.4 seconds he is now clear. Mark in second place, who's just holding that gap around 2.5 seconds back to his brother Alex. On board with Vinales. Over at the line he goes with a career-long foe, Miguel Oliveira. These two have been locking horns together since their pre-Grand Prix days back in the feeder system in Spain. From a long way back there. Through he goes on Oliveira, so that now will push Vinales back up into P5 once again. He took the checkered flag in the sprint yesterday in 5th place as they go side by side.
Oh, masuk balik.
La Chapelle, Vinales just has the upper hand through 6.
Looking further back to see what kind of battles may be developing. Aldeguer is taking a couple of tenths or so out of the Oliveira Vinales battle, but to kind of underline Bradley's point about their medium Michelin rain tyre, Oliveira now has got the confidence to attack back on Maverick Vinales and is actually now set faster lap times. Nakagami of Raul Fernandez, Salvador behind, so he's been patient to get in this Grand Prix, but Oliveira now starting to get some good grip out of that medium rear tyre.
Given his lack of experience in these kind of really tricky, treacherous conditions, Sterling Aldeguer is running a pretty decent pace. He's in those mid-146s, which is not a million miles behind the pace right now.
Dia tak perlu push lah.
Marquez. You can just see Aldeguer out of the top of your picture. He's in
Bagi Azak menang kata.
at the moment. The gap between, well, 3.5 seconds he is back of Vinyal as it stands right now.
Remind you, we don't want to go too early on this one.
Tapi aku tak puas hati dengan Hakim Danish punya result semalam tu.
For over a year since the
Kenapa?
Kan red flag tu kan. Masalahnya hari ni pun kan dia jatuh. Dia daripada naik balik daripada P23 naik P2 kan. Lepas tu dalam race yang sama tu pun ada je orang jatuh. Dekat final turn tu pasir banyak je pun dekat corner tu.
Oh, tak reflect pula.
Tak reflect pula. Tapi tak apalah, dia habis P2 juga kan. So okay lah.
Yang menang semalam tu finish lah.
Yang menang semalam siapa ya? Brian Uriarte. Uriarte. Tapi hari ni yang first turn tu Hakim jatuh, dia low side. Tapi dia bawa sekali Uriarte tu terkeluar pada race lah. Itu puas hati ya. And then dia daripada P and then dia daripada P23 dia naik balik P2 kan. Kau lah. Memang kau kejar. Tapi P1 dengan P2 tu jauh lah.
Hujan ke?
Hujan.
Hujan? Apa?
Zarko is putting in a masterclass at the moment. He's basically a second faster than everyone else on track.
Here's Morbidelli in 18th place, one of several riders in this Grand Prix that has crashed.
Oh, replay juga dia ni.
Play.
Banyaya. There was
that would have been still on his dry tyres earlier on in the race. He was just
Franco Mobilori.
to change back over.
Tak sempat tu kata aja.
He's in 18th place.
Franco Mobilori.
Aku relax aku. Kali kat mana?
12 second tu.
Tu lah. 12 second tu relax sudah. Race pun.
Dia tengah ni tu race dengan tu.
Siapa tu?
Bezeki.
10 laps still remaining here in Le Mans.
Kali sentuh.
Tak, Bezeki corner low side kan, bawa dia sekali. Oh shit man.
Bukan Bezeki sepatu bagi ruang lah.
Bagi ruang dah tu.
Tadi side by side nampak.
Cuma ni dia break kan, low side kan, bawa Zarko semua ke depan. Wajib mengamuk kawan tu.
Memang bertumbuk lah.
Memang tupang.
Oi, penonton tepuk tangan.
Feature we're used to in a Grand Prix MotoGP is it traffic and lapping riders, but that's what Johan Zarco is having to grapple with here. He did lose 3/10 in that first sector. Understandably a little bit cautious. And he was catching Marco Benteke, making sure we lapped him in a safe part of the racetrack, and Benteke recognising what was going on and getting...
Hujan normal.
Next rider up the road for Zarco will be Alex Rins, who is a further 12 seconds up the road, although he's doing 1:47, so Zarco may not catch him.
He can't watch, he's already pacing around, he's left the awning, he's left the canopy of LCR Honda. The heart rate, I'd love to have a heart rate monitor right now, Lucio Cecchinello.
Dapat bonus daripada Mayer ni.
Dapat datuk kalau kat Malaysia ni.
Confirm lah. Sir Zarko nanti.
Sir Zarko. Lot. Pop Zarko dia 13.
But we always said right from the get-go this morning when we saw a wet warm-up, if anybody's going to be really up for this, if anybody's going to really fancy this, it will be Zarko, and he has not let us down, has he, at the moment? He's 12 and a half.
Tapi serius lah, kalau aku tengok muka Zarko kan, aku teringat dekat tu, apa tu? Alah, apa dah nama pelakon tu? Pelakon British ya.
Oh, tak tahu. Daniel Craig.
Bukan. Staten apa?
Rowan Atkinson. Rowan Atkinson.
Tahu muka Jason Statham lah.
Apa? Yang main cerita mekanik lah.
Yalah Jason Statham lah.
Jason Statham eh. Dia tu lah. Muka sama kan?
Kawan tu gemuk lagi.
Kira yang tu fit lah, yang ni tak fit.
Ada sikit lah.
Nak, yang tu fit, yang ni tak fit.
Hard to come by, aren't they, for independent teams in MotoGP, particularly for independent Honda teams. So they're going to be savouring this moment if Zarco can
Oh, dia potong oli lah.
keep his pace for what the final 8.5 minutes of this Grand Prix. You can see how much the rain is starting to fall heavy now. Again, spray being kicked up from the rear tyres.
Makin lebat tau.
GP bikes.
which will certainly now reward the riders who have looked after their rear tyre.
Habis awal lah.
Water to have to clear.
Bagi takut menang.
Betul. Red flag terus. Red flag terus. 2/3 dah lepas dah ni.
Dia kalau condition macam mana dia orang boleh reflect kan? Tak sama
Kalau
kan?
ekstrim sangat lah.
Medium rear, as we mentioned, Vinales. Aldeguer on the soft rear is now immediately behind him, but did lose a little bit of time, although he's very quickly scampered off the road from Miguel.
Aku masih laju tu.
Across the line. Vinales could be coming under some
Makin jauh.
pressure here from Fermin Aldeguer as we now
Jangan jatuh sudah.
of 26. Vinales at a 47.
Sebab dia kata warm up tadi dia perform. Aku warm up hujan.
Overtake on Oliveira. He's now 1.6 behind.
Oh tadi petang warm up dah hujan.
Warm up yang warm up session kan.
Warm up session tu.
Sebelum Red Bull Rookie.
Acosta having a strong ride in fourth, having had a pretty troubled start to his second full season in the MotoGP World Championship. As we pick up
Lepas Red Bull Rookie. Lepas Red Bull
Hujan
Rookie.
ni mistake sikit je.
around this Le Mans circuit. Looks like it's going to be a pair of
Tak payah push lah. 14 second lah.
Saw Ceccanello there, Brad, with the calm down gesture to Johan Zarco. Jorge Martin spoke last year about being told to relax, but he feels that the best way to keep his concentration is to just continue to push in the
Tapi betul juga kan. Dia kata sebab kau dah memang maintain kau punya rhythm kau kan.
Salah ni kan.
Kau nak jaga-jaga sangat lagi buat mistake.
The Le Mans track is talking to him. He's done a great job with his team to make a wet setup during the winter, and he's just feeling good and confident. It looks scary at this point because you're like, hey, calm down, you're doing a second.
Dapat potong Vinales ni.
At least with this second, he keeps the suspension in the stroke, he keeps the temperature in the tyres, and he keeps his brain focused.
Yeah, and he's doing a fantastic job of doing all those things right now because he's now 14.5 seconds clear of Marc Marquez. So he's not just stabilised now, man, he's actually building it here. It is Zarco. Vinales versus Aldeguer. This is the battle for 5th place. Aldeguer starting to hunt down the vastly more experienced Spaniard ahead of him, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gained time quite quickly on this lap. Started the lap 1.6 to be exact behind Vinales. He's cut that at least in half at this stage.
Oh, oli jatuh juga
Oli jatuh.
akhirnya. Akhirnya jatuh juga.
Ini boleh jadi red flag Makin teruk ke condition? Makin.
A serious left shoulder injury. That really flicked him over the top there, didn't it, Oliveira?
Show how much jeopardy there's.
Oh, high side.
High side.
High side mat.
Dumping Oliveira.
Macam mana boleh high side?
Buka minyak, tayar licin.
Iyalah. Tiba-tiba gerik kan?
To make you winch badly again.
That last corner, there's just something about it. I was speaking to Randy De Punier earlier, and he said it was where the cars ground out on the floor through the 24 hours, and it just polishes the surface ever so much, and then so easy to lose the rear.
Yeah, for Oliveira, because he's having a pretty strong ride in the rain conditions. Well, this was coming, wasn't it? Aldeguer makes light work.
Dia dah dapat rentak tu.
So now it's Aldeguer up into that 5th position.
Can catch Acosta from there. Acosta's doing 47.5.
Weh, dia pakai lutut kering tu. Dia pakai knee slider kering tu.
Oh,
Ni slider nipis.
Slider dekat tayar.
Tak, ni slider ni lutut tu. Dia pakai yang keringnya. Kira nipis lah.
Oh, kalau yang hujan tebal.
Tebal.
It's a little bit too much water right now for those medium tyres to work. So for Acosta, for Vinales, for Fernandez, I think as well. They're on that medium rear, and it's just.
Ini pun pakai kering ni.
We're only talking 5, maybe 10
ini pun kering lah. Tak tebal mana.
Semua kan.
Ada yang nak bawa ke tebal ni.
That was still a mid 146. A 146.502.
15 second boh.
Second quicker than Alex in 3rd place. The thick end of a second as well.
Oh, lama.
Mark in 2nd.
Siapa ni Zarco?
This is a replay of the race start with Fabio Quartararo on that pole position.
Alex.
Aduh.
Alex Marquez, will he
Aduh sayang.
Acosta dapat podium. Akhirnya.
one more session
Sekian lama menunggu.
First podium lah.
Ya.
No.
Oh.
Eyesight juga.
That's engine brake, so that's just flicking it into the corner. Like I said, it could be that with this rain, just the temperatures coming out the side of it, but there's nothing really can do
Nombor 6 je.
at that point.
Turn sebelum second last turn.
Just pray that
Oh, masih nombor 6 ni.
Bye. Red flag ah. Aduh.
Jom.
Oh, masih nombor 6 lagi. Okay lah.
Jauh tu ke?
Oh, dia join balik eh?
Nah. Motor hidup.
What performance though from Nakagami, like just while he's on TV there.
Motor dah barai.
Turns up, okay.
Tak lebar sangat. Windscreen je.
Oh.
Pecah.
Cabut.
Out there doing a great job.
Elok kau cakap tak lah barai sangat.
Pedih dada ni.
Ya. Terempas dia tadi. Aku risaukan Sako je.
Itu lah, jangan sampai dia jatuh tu yang buat reflect kan.
This is on board then with Zarco, starting in P11. He's going to be caught up in all of this first corner drama on the wet tire. That's why he started to just sink back towards the back of the field. On his inside now, and there Bastianini.
Oh, accident depan dia. Depan tu eh. Sap. Jatuh.
Oh, dia tersangkut sekali.
Oh. Pelak dia.
That was at turn 3. On lap 1 of this 26 lap Grand Prix. He's got 5 laps to go.
Last turn yang bahaya ni.
That's really standing.
Last sector yang bahaya.
The biggest day surely of his Grand Prix career. Yes.
Takut jadi macam Oli tadi ya, tiba-tiba.
To win a MotoGP race in front of your home crowd, in front of
Pemin tu macam berdapat
a crowd of over 120,000 fans. Surely this will top the lot.
Pas second juga. Acosta ke first ni podium ah?
Ha.
Is catching him at over a second a lap. He took 1.2 seconds out of Acosta on that last lap. Gap down to 5.
Zako nak backflip ke tak tahu tu. Hujan ni backflip kan mati kan.
Acosta's not got this third place secure yet.
No, he hasn't. Acosta's last podium finish was in the rain conditions in Borak towards the back.
Woi, ada gel laju. Tadi 4.7, 4.4.
4 laps to go for the Frenchman. We can just hear in our headsets, Mark Marquez will be coming over very, very shortly. Do you know what? Fair play to Zarco. I mean, he's still doing mid 46s. I can't remember the last time I didn't see him do sort of a 46.4 or 46.5. Super impressive, this Bradley.
Yeah, I don't want to speak too soon. I'm nervous. No commentators curse from me, but yeah, just he's in that zone, he's in that flow. We know that Johan rides extremely well in the wet, and yeah, it's just great to see. Not putting any wheels wrong at the moment. 16-second lead. These will be 4 of the longest laps of his life.
They really will. It's only 4.19 kilometres this Le Mans circuit, but each lap will feel like 40 kilometres, won't it? For Zarco, he sweeps down towards garage there. I'm sure there's a few chewed fingernails right now in the grandstand. Certainly can at Castrol Honda LCR. As now out of garage, there we go. The French fans are going to give Zarco a rapturous reception if he is able to get this job done. Just got to make
Dia flick itu risau tengok.
Get too far ahead of himself and already start sort of thinking about the post-race celebrations, thinking about that Prosecco. I mean, how easy or how hard is that to do, buddy? Just as, you know, to keep the focus and make sure that the mind isn't wandering and getting a little bit too far ahead of itself.
It really is tough, and you just feel yourself tightening up. Your arms get a little bit tighter, hands grip the handlebars that extra little bit. Your butt cheeks start twitching a little bit more. You listening to the bike, you're listening to everything. It does make you nervous.
Yeah, every little noise.
Reflect lah, sial.
Thinking, please.
Kan.
We see the check.
Aku risau dulu, baru dia nak bagi dia menang dulu.
Those French fans' faces, they are sensing
Ui, aku dah. Musibat lah.
1.9 lah. Weh, crash lagi.
Weh, kau tengok mana?
Siapa crash?
Kau tengok siaran mana ni? Tengok satu je.
Boleh mas.
El Marquez.
Tengok Warib punya, tengok Warib punya.
Tengok Warib. Alah, tak boleh point dia.
Yeah, he's had to call it a day. So there's going to be a first DNF in the
Sorry.
Okay. Allah.
Tu je tu.
Up and down break, and when that locked as soon as he grabbed the lever, Brad.
Sakit dulu jatuh.
Tentak gitu kan.
Ui, besar gila hidung dia.
Babi tak ada benda lain kau nak tengok setan.
Tak, kata kat orang tu yang
Tak, biasa aku tengok hidung cikgu lagi besar.
Hidung kau yang macam jambu susu, cibai.
Tentang kau tengok reflection kau tu dekat monitor.
Hidung macam avocado. Ada hati kata kat hidung orang.
Bini aku cakap hidung aku comel tu.
Ya tu, bini aku pun akan cakap macam tu kalau aku ada duit. Sekarang ni aku tak ada duit ni pun bini aku kata aku handsome. Itu lain cerita.
Oi, dah dekat lah.
Reflect lah weh. Reflect lah weh.
Dah dekat dengan Costa. Bagilah Costa menang bodoh. Dapat podium.
Tak, aku nak Fermin podium ni.
Fermin dapat podium.
Siapa bodoh Costa tu.
Padan muka dia. Bagi aku padan muka dia.
Bukan muda lagi.
Muda lagi.
Mawa dia nampak macam tua tu.
Oh, cakap kat awet orang. Oh.
Dapat kena potong dengan rookie. Memang malu lah.
Ui, rapatnya 2 ekor ni. Ada gay akan try ni.
Dia tak ada rugi lah sikit. Tapi dia dapat nama kalau dah potong. Kat sini terus lah. Oi. Macam tu je potong.
Yeah, that was taking count the upper baby, wasn't it, as far as Aldeguer was concerned. So he then moves back up.
Habis podium. Bye-bye Costa.
Kena potong dengan rookie.
For the number 54. Nearly 20 seconds clear now.
Terus tinggal tu.
Yeah, that was a prime example there of the soft versus the medium tyre. Just firm in there, able to generate the rear grip so much.
Costa medium lagi
Ya, apa ni?
KTM.
Semua KTM banyak pakai MM tu.
Medium. Last Perancis punya pemenang tahun 1954.
Dah 5. Dah 70 tahun tu.
Last pemenang Perancis dekat Perancis.
Apa? Dapat nama Zarko.
Bre jatuh.
Sebelum ni Fabio tak ada menang?
Tak pernah menang ni.
Oh, time dia ni pun tak menang.
Orang jangka Fabio yang dapat buat minggu ni kan.
Alah Zarko tu.
Apa? Ni confirm dapat bonus banyak kan?
Bre.
Relax Zarko.
Gambar Zarko 20 second Zarko. Kau berhenti kejap last corner tu kau tolak pun tak apa.
Relax. Slow pun tak apa.
Because this is going to be the highlight of what's already been a great career as far as the 34.
Bawa 80 sudah weh, bawa 80.
Risau tak ikan jantung jaga.
Dah peluh jantung dah. Dah memang jantung dah. Last turn aku risau.
But this one will have that extra special taste. There's Johan Zarco there now. Into turn 12 he goes.
Dah relax je. Dah.
Berhenti tolak motor.
Dah tak payah push.
The fans are making incredible noise here. He's going to get a wrap.
Dia slow. Oh, angkat tangan.
Oh, berjaya bodoh Zarko.
It is vive la
Mantap.
He wins the French Grand Prix for the first time in over 7 decades. The French fans celebrate a homegrown winner in the Premier Class. Noise.
Oh, tak saya aku pakai Honda SCR ni.
Tak sia-sia aku ni tu aku beli motor Honda. Ha? Kau pergi naik siap motor kau tu.
Besok kita masih Honda.
Malam ni Johan Zarto.
Johan Zarto.
Pemimpin podium tu.
Pemimpin podium ah. Rookie podium. Gila. Bun.
Here in Le Mans, Johan Zarco is your race winner.
High emotion, but exquisite skill from Johan Zarco. Yes, he was rewarded for making the decision to start the race on wet tyres. Marc Marquez, of course, amongst the many who started on slicks, had to serve a double lap, had to change bikes again. But from the moment
Sejam race hari ni.
he never looked back. He won by as near
Race pada lama sial lagi.
20 seconds. The greatest
Aku tak dapat point juga.
Rider yang atas track semua dapat point ni. Banaya yang tak dapat.
Ada yang tak dapat.
Aduh.
In Le Mans here.
Sabado di top 10.
For the next few nights as well. I'm sure he's very emotional. What a day for
John
Zarco. Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Luke.
As he just hugs Johan Zarco's manager in front of us. This, can you believe, the first Grand Prix that Johan invited his mum to. What an event
Oh.
for her to come along. Lucho
First Grand Prix dia panggil mak dia.
quickly as he embraces the
Siapa? Zarco?
Ha ah.
Johan Zarco.
Dia bawa mak dia first time.
Have him in a second, guys. He was
Tadi tu bapak dengan mak dia kan?
Ha ah. Untung ada mak lagi.
I'll come back to you as soon as I've got him.
He's being mobbed. Well, I'll tell you what, if
Boleh-
Johan Zarco
boleh ambil personal tu.
to a rare MotoGP race, you might be getting a few more invites after that one. Let's go back down to hear from Lucho Cecchinello.
Dah lah kena ni tengok tire pressure kan.
Sejuk-sejuk kan.
Sial lah, memang sial lah kalau itu. Tapi dia lebih daripada 18 17 ada you.
Okay.
Dia still leading dia.
Proud of you, and I'm really proud of all the team.
Huge congratulations. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Lucho can't hear Jack because he's been drowned out by 120,000 French fans. Marc Marquez knows he's done it many a times, that special feeling of winning in front of your home crowd. So he knows exactly what's going through the mind and body right now of Johan Zarco.
Jauh leading dia.
That was a real significant 20 points in terms of the championship for Marc Marquez. He had to do what, the double long lap, he did a bike change. It was absolutely bonkers. 45 minutes and 47 seconds
70 tahun punya sejarah mat.
in Le Mans. Just absolutely astonishing, edge of the seat, nail-biting tension and drama.
Dapat podium, hujan pula.
Zarco as a French MotoGP
Dah first race kau hujan mak tu kan.
The grandstand roofs are about to be lifted off. Just absolutely a pleasure.
Kumpau ke elok sikit. First ride French Youth menang ke rumah ni. Tahun 1954 last.
Part of this
French punya rider menang dekat French Grand Prix.
Weekend crowd, and Johan Zarco does the business. The first French Grand Prix winner on home turf in the Premier Class in 71 years.
71 tahun punya rekod.
In front of the biggest weekend attendance MotoGP has ever seen. The French fans who deserve all of our admiration. Incredible atmosphere.
Flip. Kami nak tengok flip.
They get a French winner, a French fairy tale on this Sunday afternoon at Le Mans. Pedro Acosta takes 4th place, just did not have anything for Fernando Guerra in those latter stages. 4 and 5 for KTM, Acosta Vinales, Nakagami 6th on the Honda, from Ralph Fernandez to Gil Antonio Savadori, who started on the wets 9th, and Ayagura, despite lost count of the long laps he served, he took 10th.
Zarco, quite rightly, is doing the slowest cool-down lap ever. As he comes back into
Tak ada flip.
and he's going to get absolutely mobbed, isn't he? We'll just listen to the noise.
Dah lah rekod attendance.
Eh,
330 lebih. Ribu sepanjang minggu ni.
330 ah.
Tak kecewa dia orang.
Memang orang jangka French nak nombor 1 lah, bukan yang tu.
Johan Zarco, he has had 17 previous Grand Prix victories in his career, one previously in MotoGP, but this will top the lot. I think he might have to pinch himself right now just to believe what is happening to him. Those French fans have had to wait a lifetime for a winner in the Premier Class. What was it, Louis?
Trofei Johan Zarco. Johan Zarco.
Johan Zarco's mother, who I think is going to get a few more invitations to watch her son race. Just absolutely brilliant. What a race. What an occasion. How can you not love the GP?
Well, Honda's first win since the Grand Prix of the Americas in 2023. That was also taken, of course, by the LCR team and Alex Rins on that day. And after 22 Grand Prix and over a year...
Oh, sebelum ni pun last Honda menang pun SCR juga. Alex Rins. Austin.
Took the elements and some genius riding by Johan Zarco to deny.
Bye-bye, Piko. Bye-bye. Bye, Piko.
Dia jadi mangsa tadi. Masa member rapat pula tu.
22 departs the Grand Prix weekend. Pointless. Crashing out of the sprint yesterday. 16th after he was cleaned out in that dramatic first sector of what was.
Flip, please.
Dia nak flip. Dia nak pergi flip.
Breaking with protocol here and quite understandably so. Come on.
Apa nak buat backflip ke apa?
Surely. No wonder he is going to enjoy.
Takkan tak ada flip kot.
Single second of these.
Dia nak pergi tempat pasir.
Sud tu dalam.
Flip.
Dia kan memang flip. Setiap kali race menang.
Sud tu dalam berat gila.
Dengan berair lagi kan.
Dengan berair.
Kita hari dia menang yang MotoGP sekali pun dia ni kak, dia backflip kak.
Kat mana semua?
Kalau mana lupa.
Tak ingat.
Pilih dia.
Lama lah lupa lah tu.
Betul lah.
Yalah, dia buat lah.
Nangis member dia.
From the flying Frenchman. I think this is what it's all about. He's just getting the fans to whip up into another.
Dia sangkut kabel.
Doing that all weekend. Here we go then. There it is.
Yeah.
Dia buat je.
Gila.
What a moment.
Dah terembak kot.
LCR Honda and for Johan Zarco. What an afternoon.
Apa yang kau rasa malam tadi dia praktis tu?
Malam tadi praktis babi.
This was a moment that he probably thought would never come. Would he ever get the chance to do a victory backflip in front of his home crowd?
Dia berapa dia 34
Umur? Tak tahu tu.
Masa 34 lah.
Kalau aku 24. Dia
Ya.
Zarco backflip berpisah tak ada betul.
Ya, sebaya aku lah 34.
Kan aku 24, aku dengan kau beza 10 kan.
34 betul lah.
Motor cikgu.
Dua-dua orang. Arwah dah lah gaduh dengan orang dalam komen Buruki.
Arwah gaduh benda.
Baca
Aku baca tu.
Mana ada gaduh, aku support budak tu je.
Ya kau support Tapi Arwah orang kampung. Wah ini mengaku orang kampung.
Aldeguerra first Grand Prix podium to go with his first sprint podium yesterday. Marc Marquez extends his World Championship lead now out to 22 points over his brother Alex, who crashed twice.
Ni helmet macam ni. Aduh, dia beli replika ni 1,200.
Sabunya.
Aku tengok itu dekat Shark tadi. 1-2.
Tapi tak ada Red Bull lah.
Tak nak ke beli Rossi punya helmet tu?
Tak nak aku. Aku dah ada Rossi punya helmet.
Yang full face punya tak ada lagi tu.
Full face lah.
Tak, yang kau punya apa? Kau punya model apa?
Apa ni? Full face tak ada. Aku punya ni open face.
Yang ni full face punya tu 2016 Solid Luna.
Ambil lain lah.
Model apa mau? Pista.
Tapi
Pista kan?
Ya betul. Pista RR.
Pista RR lah.
2016 punya. Dia Solid Luna.
was an early victim of the conditions when he crashed out with Brad Binder in that final corner.
Tengah tunggu nak beli shark ni. Yang ni macam ni kan. Sama ada Oli punya ataupun Zaku.
But here he is. What a weekend for Fermin Alger. A double podium in Le Mans, his first in MotoGP. Let's get his thoughts with Jack.
Fermin, what a weekend. Your first sprint podium yesterday, now your first ever Grand Prix podium at just 20 in only your 6th Grand Prix. How on earth did you manage all of that chaos?
Yeah, I'm surprised because this morning when I saw the weather, I say, I don't know if today we can fight because I don't have a lot of experience in wet condition, but at the end, with more laps, I start to feel better, and an incredible pace. So happy to do another third position, my first podium. Nothing, thank you to all Ducati people, to all Gresini family, and to my family because it's in my home. Nothing. Thank you.
Brilliant ride, well done.
Thank you.
Fantastic ride by Fermin Alger. Of course, he's shown great pace this weekend in both dry and wet conditions.
Kecewa Costa.
That was really tough. He's got very limited experience on that Ducati GP24 of riding in wet weather conditions. Super stressful as well in a flag-to-flag scenario. When do you come into pit? He had to deal with a double long lap as well. So much going on to occupy the mind of Aldeguer. Well, that was not a rookie performance at all, was it? 6th Grand Prix, and he's on the podium for the first time. Great job by the Gresini racing rider. Johan Zarco continues to take the applause. No great surprise that one. That was an easy one. The rider of the race goes to LCR Honda rider Johan Zarco. Performance of the season in many respects, maybe. The focus and concentration that he needed in that 26th lap race. A hard-earned second place and 20 very important points for the championship. Marc Marquez is with Jack.
Mark, when you're fighting for a world championship, those kind of races are a nightmare. I imagine probably one of the wildest you've ever been involved in. So to finish it second, just how satisfying is that?
Yeah, crazy race. Especially the first part of the race was crazy, but only speaking now with these rules for everybody is much more clear what you need to do, and yeah, I mean I copied the main opponent for the world championship, that is my brother Alex. When I saw that he go in, I just followed him, but for me was the correct strategy. But just Johan today was faster. You saw when it was wet, he was 8 seconds in front of me. I pushed 2 laps. I saw that he was faster, even increased the distance. So
Yalah, saya beradu dulu.
Baik, thank you. Beradu
Beransur dulu. Terima kasih.
Happy because it's this kind of Sundays that you can lose a lot of points, and I already lose 2 Sundays, so today I was extra concentrated.
A great ride, well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, as he said, and as we suspected, so easy to make a mistake in those conditions, so easy to throw away 20 points, and certainly probably at the back of his mind was the mistakes in Kota and in Jerez. Certainly didn't want to throw away another whole bunch of Sunday points. And that was a great moment as he came to congratulate Johan Zarco. Full respect, because Mark himself knows it was a wet and wild ride, wasn't it, here in Le Mans? And there's going to be some wild celebrations now, aren't there, as far as the French fans are concerned. Here he is then, the first French rider to win the French Grand Prix MotoGP in 71 years. Just listen to the noise. What a reception for your French Grand Prix winner, Johan Zarco.
Johan, the perfect gamble in the perfect race. Can you try and put into words what it means to become the first Frenchman to win the French MotoGP race in 71 years?
Hard to believe. I still don't understand what is happening. The last laps, they were quite long, and yeah, I think I need a bit of time, but it's just magic, because with the rain tires at the beginning, we had to control. I didn't want to burn my rear tire. Then more rain is coming, that was cool. Mark came back pretty fast, but I think also that the rear tire was limited, so I could control the gap. Just wow.
A And if you can, some quick words for this record crowd here at Le Mans in French.
Oui, ben, bien sûr que je vais parler en français. C'est magique. J'aurais jamais cru que ça arrive comme ça. Et voilà, il y a eu ce choix de pneus, d'autres qui rentrent au stand pour les slicks. C'était annoncé que ça allait pleuvoir.
Tu translate tu.
La pluie, on les a vus.
Ya, aku tengah dengar.
Mais finalement, quand tout le monde les a brûlés, ben, c'est moi qui ai eu l'avantage. Et ça, c'était un vrai régal.
Oh, dia ni, dia cakap dia memang buat benda ni untuk dia dan negara dia lah. Macam tu lah lebih kurang.
Aku dengar lain tu.
Jangan lupa Pizza Hut apa semua dia.
Aku dengar lain tu.
Lain
Dia kata macam nak pakai kasam apa semua tu. Kasam gelama. Oh, gelama pakai kasam.
In the Zarco household is there tonight. There's certainly not many dry glasses, that's for sure. What a moment. This is that super sweet feeling. Can you imagine what is going through the mind of Johann Zarco right now as he comes out of the final corner and crosses the finish line to take his first MotoGP success here in France? Members of the Zarco family, they can't quite believe what they've just
Sampai tercabut gigi lah.
Sampai tertelan dah gigi.
Deliver on the biggest stage possible.
Oi, pasang balik bodoh gigi palsu.
Of course, who did so much to really rescue the career of Johann Zarco when he joined Pramac Ducati 2 or 3 years ago. I think a lot of people scoffed when he decided to leave Pramac Ducati and join Honda. What a gamble that was. A gamble, though, that has paid off, as Zarco was flipping brilliant, wasn't he, here today in France?
Dia tak tukar slick tayar tadi kan?
Tak.
Quite sure that those grandstands are going to be clearing too quickly at the end of play. They've still got what is going to be, I'm sure, a memorable and very emotional podium ceremony to come.
Dah makannya palau yap.
As the French flag
Right.
flies proudly over the top of a MotoGP podium on French soil for the first time in 71 years. All thanks to the brilliance of Johann Zarco here in Le Mans.
Get your breath back after what we've just witnessed. They cannot quite believe what they've just seen down there at LCR Honda. It's going to take, I think, the 2 weeks to Silverstone to pick the bones out of that one. Let's listen in on our podium finishes.
Okay. Yeah. But if you do 7 laps with the rain and it start rain,
Yeah,
the tires are destroyed.
This happened a bit, and when you move to the rain tires, you came back very quick, and then the tire were limit.
Yes.
And I couldn't manage the gap. But
No,
when I
because
saw you coming very fast, because I think, I don't know, but you came to 8 seconds, and
Yeah, but
say,
I
okay.
push, then I push 2 more laps, and I say 8. I saw 8 seconds, and.
I almost crashed at the beginning, look. There. Hola.
No me he dado cuenta. Se ha caído él, por eso.
You broke a bit my, not the handlebar, but the things for the switch. But okay, then I could
Better.
change.
Works better, no?
I think Jack was also in a good situation, few seconds in front of me, but he crashed on the last corner.
Aquí quería hacer el long
Tú te la has
lap.
jugado, para hacerlo los laps.
No, quería hacerlo, pero casi te como y digo,
Me has tocado, ¿verdad?
a ti te tocaba en las 7.
En las 7.
You had to do 2 long laps now, or 1?
No, yeah, I do.
Tú, Tabel.
Guau. Yo me la he jugado mucho. Yo pensaba que estos no habían hecho ninguna.
And 2 long laps because you changed tire before the restart.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Tu hermano creo que la ha pegado 2 veces.
Se ha ido largo aquí solo.
Ay, yo me he puesto primero y yo, ¡guau!
Y aquí es cuando hemos entrado.
Claro. Pero es que aquí todavía íbamos rápidos con el... Mira, iba a tope.
Ya, pero el T1, T2 está muy mojado. Bueno, yo no...
Buah, ¿ves? Aquí ya la he
A
liado.
tope, claro que iba a tope.
Claro. Aquí ya la he liado. Por eso me has dicho, ¿has perdido mucho? Sí que he perdido.
with a bit of rain, you were going fast, and because other riders were crashing, and you were still in front. Huh? Not the straight like this.
Long race.
Yeah, waiting that the tire, you know, is spinning, so you wait in the straight.
You was with the medium or with the soft?
Soft.
Good, because Oliveira, I think, was with the medium, no? Ria?
They told me some KTMs. I don't know.
Wow.
Ay, ay, ay.
Claro.
Ha pillado dos, Y creo que ha levantado la moto y luego se ha caído otra vez. Uf, sí, ¿verdad? Porque lo he visto por la tele. Aquí.
T'arrives à avoir une autre canette? S'il te plaît.
Ya.
Ahí recto en la 11.
Había buen grip ahí.
So the top three have just processed what an incredible 26 lap that was. I think it's going to take about another 26 months for Johan Zarco to fully process what he's just achieved here in Le Mans. As we get set then for what is going to be an incredibly emotional MotoGP podium here in France.
Lucio Cecchinello, who else? Coming up onto the podium to accept the winning constructor prize, and it goes to Honda. Ending Ducati's 22 race winning streak. They tie the record, but they don't beat it. Fermin Aldeguer, a double podium for him. Marc Marquez, how important will those 20 points be when we reflect on this 2025 season? But as we await our winner, no need to hear any words from me, just listen to this.
Gila.
Once again for Johan Zarco. It's his second MotoGP victory. Of course, his last one came in highly dramatic circumstances in Phillip Island, but surely nothing will match this. Podium that is one of the most revered in all of motorsport. Of course, where the 24 hours of Le Mans are celebrated. I think the party will go on for more than 24 hours after that one. And you won't find many in the paddock who are anything other than absolutely thrilled for Lucio Cecchinello. He accepts the winning constructor prize, Honda's first win for over 2 years. Third place for Fermin Aldeguer. Of course, the debrief of that race is going to take a couple of weeks probably, but had Fermin Aldeguer swapped bikes on the same lap as the Marquez brothers, might he finished second today. He went on for an extra lap, remember, before changing back over to wet. Well, his pace at the end of the race was extraordinary as he came through to take a podium. He has arrived in MotoGP, make no mistake about that. Second place to Marc Marquez. With the crash of Jerez fresh in his mind, he battened down the hatches and took the 20 points, which move him 22 clear of his younger brother Alex, who crashed twice today. But Johan Zarco was a little boy, and I guess even throughout his Grand Prix career, he must have dreamt of this moment, standing on the podium in front of his people at the French Grand Prix, being announced as the winner. As Johan Zarco lifts the trophy aloft, he is the toast of Le Mans today.
What a French Grand Prix we have had in 2025. The first French winner in 71 years in the Premier Class. Well, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, don't they, to listen to Le Marseillaise ring out here. A spine-tingling moment for Johann Zarco and 120,000 French fans who on a day they will remember for a lifetime as Johann Zarco enjoys and soaks in the sweet taste of success. I hope that's the first of about 25 bottles of Prosecco he's about to get through here tonight. You could even see like Fermin Aldeguer and Marc Marquez just blown away themselves by that rendition of La Marseillaise. It really did stir the emotions, didn't it, here? As Johann Zarco then now begins to let it all sink in, begin to recognise and realise that he is a winner of the French Grand Prix.
Hold the back page, hold the front page for Johann Zarco. The biggest sporting event anywhere in the world this weekend with the fairy tale finish. The home winner. Of course, so many here came here hoping for Fabio Quartararo to wave the tricolor aloft on the podium. But today is Johann's day.
Well, those 26 laps had just about everything in that Grand Prix. This was the first of two bruising and ultimately costly crashes as far as Alex Marquez is concerned. He fails to score a point for the first time this season, but it was all about one man and one nation as Johann Zarco thrilled a record home crowd. A fervent home crowd who've been making noise here since Wednesday night. Can we just cross the channel right now and go straight to Silverstone for our next instalment? Chapter 7 up next. It's the Tissot Grand Prix of the United Kingdom. Another classic historic venue on the calendar. And we go there off the back of Johann Zarco winning his home Grand Prix here in France. What a race, what a day. Hope you enjoyed it at home just as much as we did as Johann Zarco. We're going to have to prize him off the podium here, aren't they, to start doing some of his media duties. I don't blame him, because as we mentioned, it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment, this, isn't it? Stay up there, Johann, for as long as you can.
Zarco!
Tonight, so enjoy those what's scenes here in Le Mans. Johann Zarco, winner of the French Grand Prix.
And it doesn't get better than that for Johann. 20 seconds clear of Marc Marquez.
Baru nak tunjuk dia gelah Muza.
Awak dapat free ke? Ha?
Dapat free.
Mana? Oh. Rajin tu, itu gelah durian. Aku beli aku ada ni, aku ada beli glove tu dulu. Tapi aku jual sering aku dulu, aku bagi kat awang tu sekali. Aku cari glove Paco lah.
Paco.
Pak Santan nak patah dah band headphone tu. Bulat kemai tu. Muka hang bulat kemai
baru ni, aku beli baru. Yang 9600 aku tu rosak anak aku bagi.
Anak buat. Ni.
Kau ni baru lah
Ni baru beli ni 95, kecil sikit.
Sana. Ni, nonton. Aku beli ni.
Berdosa kalau pakai.
Aku beli datang ni dulu sebab kan aku pakai yang glove, aku pakai steering yang Ferrari tu kan. Nak jaga dia punya steering kan. So beli ni. Dia tak hangat. Dia nipis je.
Tak hangat?
Tak hangat.
Okay lah, glove DIY pun.
Stokin kena pakai lah.
Oh, stokin kena pakai dalam?
Tak hang, dah kaki.
Oh.
Hang pakai kaki ayam lah.
Kaki ayam lah.
Pakai stokin lah. Pedih kaki oi lama-lama.
Dah ni dia plate dia ni okey.
Lama-lama pedih.
Yo.
Oh, hang tak main endurance lagi. Aku biasa duk main endurance setengah jam semua.
To the Novo team, although only one of their riders scored today, do extend their team's championship lead over Grassini.
Stokin lah, pakai stokin lah. Cari stokin apa pakai.
The gap 94.
Bentan.
Oi. Apa dia, Bil? Dengar.
Pakai phone.
Oh.
Dah ni, aku beli Moza je, Bil.
Yang long.
Tengok kamera.
Independent standings, no
Bil, tengok kamera. Kamera. Nampak?
RM80 gila.
Ya. Ni, Han tengok ni, aku buka kamera.
Oh,
Nampak?
kau memang makin bulat eh?
He's just 13 back from Morbidelli.
Moza.
Moza. Itu mesti DIY.
Moza RM3.
Tapi kau pakai dulu tak?
RM9.
Nipis je.
Bukan ni, aku sakit kat dia punya ni grip ni. Apa? Untuk ibu jari.
Dah lepas tu kau stream lah. Tak apa kau lukis tu
Parkour.
Pakai liquid. Ambil liquid paper.
Ada stiker dia ni.
Stiker Moza.
Oh, stiker lah.
Selekeh lah. Dia kalau R3 apa? 1,300, 1,500.
17
17.
Boleh lekat lah.
17. Aku tengok dekat OIT.
Itu mahal tu.
Aku tengok R5 pun dah naik harga lah. 2099.
R5 naik harga.
Dia naik harga.
R5 naik harga. Daripada 1899 naik 2099.
Pokemon tu. R3 pun naik 17 ni je.
Ada orang jual lagi satu ni dekat Shopee aku nampak ni. Stok lama.
R5 18 dah lagi.
Dia sebab ramai beli kot.
Tak. Ni duit Jepun kot.
Oh.
Moza Jepun. So duit Jepun naik ke apa-apa dia pun naik. Terpaksa naik. Waalaikumsalam, Mok.
Wow.
Okay, masuk kat PC dulu. Bye-bye.
Alright. Dekat mana tu?
Tahu dia dalam phone. Tunjuk ni. Satan tunjuk kat Atuk. Gelar Moza.
Gelar Moza tu. Mana? DIY ni bodoh. Mari, orang mau main game lah.
Okay, kita quit game dulu. Okay, thank you penganjur. Terima kasih Wak Arid, terima kasih Ami.
Thank you Wak. Thank you penganjur. For the wayang.
Apa jadah ni?
This is hello everyone. This is your captain Mark Henry speaking. Today our flight will delay.
Masuk ayak kan.
Tak lepak lagi semeja. Mana you orang mau main game bah?
Saya sudah masuk CS.
Mau main CS lah.
Dia malam cuti ni kita main CS lah.
Atuk. Malam kan kita main ni Sering.
InsyaAllah. Aku nak pergi KL pagi esok tu.
Aduh tu. You so weak lah. Ni apa ni tu? Santan dah beli lah. Ni apa ni? ACC.
Main lah.
Tizio ni. Dia punya setting dia Santan tak erti. Dia punya setting.
Memang setting tu tak payah lah kau ada setting.
Kau tak ada setting dulu. Kita orang pun setting beli. Setting game.
Untuk ni steering saja, bukannya untuk CCS ke banner.
Set je lah. Cari tutorial YouTube lah.
Okay. Sebab POV dia Hantar tengok
Bila santai corner sikit dia jadi
Baby.
apa ni, dah setengah dah corner. In game. Oh tak faham pun.
Jom.
Ada datang. Tak nak ubah ni steering.
Jangan main pintu. Main apa dia tu, Ma?
Aduh. Oh. What the fuck?
Sekejap ya. Lapar aku tak makan hari ni pada pukul berapa tadi. Sekejap ya.
Sudah tahu sangat genting tak ada makan.
Kita cari benda makan jap. Tengok bini dulu jap. Sekejap. Okay, guys, kita end stream dulu jap. Aku nak pergi makan jap. Nanti kita sambung balik. Okay, stay safe, stay awesome. Assalamualaikum, bye-bye.